Well, a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook at sports1440.ca. Also online on X. And if you have the app, you're listening all around town, the province, the country. Thank you. At Stingray or a radio player app, even on iHeart. So check it out. Thank you very much. Hope you are having a wonderful day. It's nice fall day today. So good luck. I know there's a few races going on already. I love it. I love the fall kind of cross country running season in school and other things. So good luck to all the kids out there. Run your hardest. Have fun. Well, all those who are in the midst of tryouts in sports, always a reminder to the parents, take a deep breath. Wherever your son or daughter plays, as long as they have fun, that's what's going to matter most. And sometimes if they get cut from a tier or a team that they really wanted to, then most likely they're going to be one of the best players on the tier below her. And that can be good for confidence and touching the puck more or whatever sport they're playing, get more opportunities. So don't freak out. It's always a reminder that, and you know what? Just, I think my son or daughter should have made the team and someone else. Sure, you can do that, but I'm not sure it's overly helpful at the end of the day to go that way. Because a lot of players, you know what, especially at younger ages, and you want to touch the puck as much as you can. So sometimes it might be better to be the best player on tier 2 than one of the bottom players on tier 1, especially at a young age when development is key. We have a loaded show for you today. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And how about this? No one won last night. So Friday's Lotto Max is going to be a record $75 million. A new high that has never been reached before in Lotto Max. So good luck if you play. We got a loaded show for you. Your Remchuk and former NHLer, assistant coach of the Oilers, head coach of the University of Alberta Golden Bears hockey team, Ian Herbers, will be by. John Hodge will talk a little CFL. Chris Bumka will join us from USA Today. We're talking all things NFL, some injury notes, no surprise around the NFL. There's always a few. The running back situation in Miami. Mostert's out. Arcane might be out. We don't know. But Wilson likely going to get the start tomorrow for the Miami Dolphins. Scott McLaughlin will join us as we continue our preview. We stop in Boston, where last summer they had some significant changes at center ice, and they still were a playoff team. But here we are, 1 week away from medicals, NHL training camps, and Jeremy Swayman still doesn't have a contract. What is that report of 10 million? I don't buy it for a second. I don't think that's the ask. I think it's probably closer to 8. But we'll see. Because if you wanted a goalie at 6 million, you just should have kept Allmark. Could have signed for that. But they're going with Swayman. We'll see how the negotiation goes. It would benefit both sides. And arguably maybe more in the sense of Boston, because if you don't have Jeremy Swayman to start the season, or if he doesn't go to training camp and then he plays like one preseason game because you signed him late, maybe got a little bit of rust, takes him a while to get up to speed in the regular season. In a tight division, probably could cost you home ice advantage. And depending on how long it would be, might put you at risk to miss the postseason. Because there's some teams in Buffalo and Ottawa and Detroit that think, you know what? We're finally going to break through this year. We'll see. Or maybe. Matt McConnell will join us. We'll talk a little Utah hockey. Kyler Yamamoto, former member of the Oilers, he is going to Utah on a PTO. That was announced today. Belmar is going on a PTO to Colorado. If you missed it yesterday, Sam Gagner is going to Carolina. Travis Dermott is coming to Edmonton. So PTO season is upon us. I think there's my conversations. There's some interest from teams for Mark Giordano. And we'll see if that leads to a contract or not. Same with James Van Riemsdyk. In the CFL, the Elks, they are on a bye week, as are their opponents who they will face next week, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So this weekend, if you're a CFL fan, you're an Elks fan, the game that matters most for them in the standings, Toronto in BC. Toronto loses, then that gives Edmonton a little bit better chance if you're looking at a crossover. Also, though, if BC loses, it's in the division, that gives Edmonton a chance to still think, hey, maybe could finish higher than third. So we'll see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 is the text line in our inbox. I have a question for you today. So I was going through the free agent signings and was looking at players, and there's been a few, of course, as there always is. And when you look at the free agents from this season, and I was looking at, kind of the bigger ones when it comes to contract and stuff. Steven Stamkos, 4-year deal in Nashville. Elias Lindholm, 7-year deal at 7.75 with Boston. You throw in Jake DeBrusk going to Vancouver at 5.5. Jonathan Marchessault, 5.5 for 5 years with the Predators. Teravainen going back to Chicago. Bertuzzi's in Chicago. My question to you, Tarasenko is now in Detroit with the Red Wings at $4.75 million. Victor Arvidsson here in Edmonton at $4 million. Jeff Skinner at $3 million. And if you look at the free agent signings, the $3 million price tag for Jeff Skinner is tied for the 38th highest AAV amongst free agents. He's tied, of course, with his own teammate, Adam Henrique, as well as Matt Duchene. Those three were all tied at 38. So 38, 39, 40. My question to you, just goals, which NHL free agent? So Jeff Skinner, pretty decent goal scorer. Maybe you're high on Anthony Mantha. Anthony Duclair, probably not. But maybe Victor Arvidsson, although he's never really been a huge goal scorer. Tyler Bertuzzi, Sean Monahan, Elias Lindholm, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault. Which UFA do you think finishes the season with the most goals, not points, most goals on their new team? 833-401-1440. We'll have different topics here leading up to the start of the NHL season, and I think that's an interesting one because obviously all these guys are in new cities this season, and I think it's good at times to look and say, okay, well, who's been the the best goal scorer recently amongst those guys. And if you got to go down the list, and I based it over the last two seasons, because everybody can have one year. Steven Stamkos has the 18th most goals in the NHL the last 2 years with 74. He's tied with Nikita Kucherov, in fact, his teammate. So I guess if you're going off that, he'd be one. And then you got Jonathan Marchessault. He's had 70 goals the last 2 years. Now they're teammates now in Nashville. So how does that impact your thoughts? Now Tyler Toffoli does have 67, third most. He's with the San Jose Sharks, and I think there might be some tough sledding there. Jake Gensel, who I didn't mention the free agent, but he's obviously one. He has 66 goals over the last two seasons. Then you mentioned Jeff Skinner has 59. He'd be up there. for consideration. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, who do you think is going to score the most goals with their new team? Oh, now Sean Monahan was a pretty consistent 30-goal guy. If Johnny Gaudreau was still his teammate, he'd get some love from me because he had some really good years. Really good years. 833-401-1440. Cons, free agent. Most goals this coming season. Who if you had to put some shekels at playalberta.ca, what would you do?
You know what? I like Skinner, and I like who he's going to be playing with the Edmonton Oilers. I think that would be one that would maybe be a bit of a longer shot, but how do you go away from Steve Stamkos? Maybe a little revitalized, going to a new team. I don't know if he's got to feel like he has to prove something to that fan base or anything, but coming off a season in which he had 40 goals, the guy's one of the best goal scorers of all time. So give me Steven Stamkos, and if you're talking Play Alberta, probably not the greatest payday, but I feel like it might be the safest one.
Yeah. That's probably fair.
Not exciting, not the most dramatic, but
what?
Can't go away from him. He's just
who's
elite.
The question is, who is the center? Right? Now, maybe he'll play center, but no, he's that matters to me. Like you look, and especially he had 19 goals in the power play last year in Tampa Bay. Nikita Kucherov is one of the best passers in the game. Nikita Kucherov isn't there now. Roman Jost is a good player, but it's a different formation. Right? Philip Forsberg, not a passer like Kucherov. How much will that impact it? So,
who are you leaning towards?
Well, obviously it's Stamkos, but I quite like, Jeff Skinner, because of the Connor McDavid factor, I can't overlook. Now, he's never been a big power play guy anyway, but Stamkos, we know, is going to get power play time, right? I think Elias Lindholm is going to get power play time. However, in Boston, and he did have 40 goals once, but he's not really that huge of a goal scorer. Pasternak's more of the trigger guy, right? Jake DeBrusk is a wild card for me in Vancouver. If he plays the majority of the time with Elias Pettersson, I wouldn't be shocked if he's maybe pushes for 35 goals. We'll see. Now, obviously, that would be a really good year for Jake, but like Stamkos is the obvious choice. But
what about Gensel?
Yeah, well, Gensel, that's not a bad one actually either. Can he come in and replace Steven Stamkos? They're different players, right? He doesn't have the shot like Steven Stamkos. He doesn't have a rocket one-timer. Right? He also shoots left, and Stamkos shoots right. So that's a factor, especially on the power play. Correct? So Stamkos, everybody remembers him on the left side. He's winding up. He's got the one timer. He's all cocked, ready to roll. Well, Gensel's not that guy, but I think Gensel might be a more prolific scorer right now, 5-on-5. So. Hey guys, Skinner can score 40 goals with or without McDavid or Draisaitl. No reason he can't score here. Stamkos doesn't have Kucherov anymore, so I'm not going with him. Well, Steven Stamkos was Steven Stamkos also scored 40 goals without Nikita Kucherov. If that's your argument for Jeff Skinner, keep in mind that Steven Stamkos is a 60-goal scorer once. He's a 50-goal scorer once. He's a 40-goal scorer 5 times. I think sometimes I'm just going to give credit for Steven Stamkos. Yeah, you play with teammates. You still got to shoot the puck, right? Jeff Skinner scored 35 goals 2 years ago, 33 3 years ago. He can score. Like last year for him, 24 goals. So kind of a little bit of a down year. He's had 31 and 33 and 28 and 37 and 40 and 33 and 35. So now obviously he's had some other years of 20 goals in his second season. His worst year was the COVID shortened season. He only had 7 goals in 53 games. It was just I'd love to know what happened that year for Jeff Skinner. Just bad luck maybe, but it's such an outlier to the remainder of his career. 7 goals in 53 games. Like he did have 13 goals in 42 games. Like that's the only other time, like that'd be the closest number, but that was 42 games when they had only a 48 game season. right? You prorate that, the guy's still at least a 24-goal season. So I don't mind Skinner, but if the odds were there, I think Stamkos would likely be number one. Guys, Gensel will still be the trigger man on a good power play. Yeah, but it's a total different power play, my man. Lou, he's now a left shot on that power play. And that makes a very, very big difference. Stamkos was the righty, and he lined up on the right side, and he would bomb it. Right now, maybe they move Braden Point, who is a right shot, into that position. Right, Kucherov, left shot though, does play the right wing, but he's a left shot, especially So you had him on the other side. He's not as much of a one-time guy. So I'm curious where they will slot him in. And Kucherov, by the way, is coming off his career high most goals. So maybe they just funnel it around and he gets a few more of the one-timers. But him and Gensel are both left shots. So I wonder, how that impacts it. Now, Gensel can be a little bit of a net front presence. Well, not a little bit. He can be a very good net front presence. And that's probably where I see him. So do we see Tampa tweak their power play a bit with him down low more? We'll see. 833-401-1440. Jay's a little matinee action again, man. They're in the afternoon games a lot. Looking for the victory of the series over the New York Mets. Quite the pitching duo today, at least based on recent memory. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about your picks. 833-401-1440. Tyler Renchuk, Ian Herbers coming up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its third season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
You'll hear it around town. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. But at Wolf GMC Buick, we're putting our own spin on it. Not only do we have over 200 GMCs available, we also want you to upgrade your ride with 0% financing up to 72 months on the 2024 GMC Sierra Elevation. Oh, and how about at least $10,000 cash back in your pocket on in-stock heavy-duty trucks? Yep, it's Canada-wide clearance, and you'll only get these deals at Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road, just seconds from the Anthony Henday.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute, one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg. Worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Fall into savings at Cross Mitsubishi.
Home of the largest 2024 Mitsubishi inventory in Western Canada and the 10-10-10 warranty.
All this month, get 0% financing on 2024 Mirage, RVR, Eclipse Cross, and Outlander models.
Lease a 7-passenger 2024 Outlander starting at $227 bi-weekly with $3,500 down, including your first payment.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition.
9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
What's better than Tim's Rewards points? 2 times the Tim's Rewards points. Use Scan and Pay on the Tim's app from now until September 30th to earn 2 times the points. Pay, earn, and redeem all with one scan. Only on the Tim's app. Canada only, limited time only. Terms apply. See app for details.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. How you doing? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. We got a lot to get to on the show today. Of course, a little matinee baseball. The Jays got an early lead over the Mets, looking for this. I think that'd be a sweep for them in that series. So trying to finish strong. People high on young Francis to wrap up the season. They got a few guys there. Horwitz, a few others doing all right. See what happens. The rookie medicals going on today for the Edmonton Oilers, and then they will fly out to Penticton and get set to take on the Flames. Canucks Friday night, Flames Saturday night, and the Jets rookies on Monday afternoon at 12 Edmonton time. If you're interested, Matt Savoy, Max Wayner, I think are the headliners of this year's tournament for the Edmonton Oilers. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And right now you can save up to $8,000 on remaining XC90s in stock for the rest of the year. 2024 XC90s, $8,000 off. Unbelievable vehicle. Driven it for 3 years. I absolutely love it. No joke. Everything about it. It's fantastic. It's got all the bells and whistles if you want all the bells and whistles. And it's got the extra row of seats if you need to go on a road trip with the kids or your buddies. Got it all at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com as we welcome in Tyler Yaremchuk to the program. Before we talk sports, Tyler, I was informed we were talking yesterday about TV dinners, and I'm hearing that you're a real big fan. You're one of the big supporters of it. Do you have a go-to TV dinner?
Yeah, if the people over at the company Crave are listening, I'm very open to a brand endorsement deal. People at the Oilers Nation office are always laughing at me because I probably put back like 3 a week. Like every second day, I'm a TV dinner guy.
Really? Are they good?
Oh, they're really good. The Crave ones are excellent. And I'm a big pasta guy, so like reheated pasta and like the dishes they do, it tastes really good. But the one thing that our boy Wanya, he was yelling at me for a while about my microplastics intake, and he was like microwaving in those plastic containers with the thin film on top. He said, you got to stop doing that. So I've gotten in the habit of at least putting it on a paper plate first. So I'm being a little bit healthy about it.
Put it in, like, bring a glass container and just heat it up in the glass, man. Yeah, the microplastics. Hey, you know what? Wanya's onto something there. There's no joke about that. So, So what about a hungry man?
I'm not as big of a fan of the quality of those. Again, I think the Crave ones they're top tier right now, and it's a good serving. It's not too much.
So they're the McDavid of TV dinners, is what you're saying.
Without a doubt. And I don't even think there's a dry settle out there. Like, I'm pretty brand committed at this point.
I've been saying it for a while. I thought a left defense made more sense for the Oilers on a PTO, and Travis Dermott's the guy who is coming in on a PTO. What realistically is best case scenario that he signs a 2-year deal for him? What do you think the odds are that he gets a contract when it's all said and done?
I think maybe the best case scenario for him would just be like a one-way deal at this point, like guaranteeing himself an NHL salary. Like again, unless there is an injury, I don't think he's starting on the Oilers roster. I think if they're going to carry a seventh defenseman, that seventh defenseman would be a righty of some variety. And I think all Dermott is, or the upside from an Oilers perspective, is you need some left shot insurance. You and I talked about this. Like, you're one injury away from potentially having to play Ben Gleason. And I totally understand. Some people might say, well, maybe Ben Gleason is just as good as Travis Dermott at this point, but having that competition is good. Having that depth is good, and Dermott's played more NHL games. I still put stock in that. So I think best case scenario for the Oilers is Dermott ends up being a nice safety blanket that you stash down in Bakersfield. Best case scenario for Dermott is he plays well enough that the Oilers have to give him a one-way deal to keep him in the organization.
Yeah, that's probably fair. And, the other, well, to me, there's a few battles. Obviously, the right side defense, Stetcher, Emerson, and Brown. See how that plays out. Two guys are going to be, although they might not be regulars. We might see a rotation there. But the bottom six of the Oilers, Janmark's in my lineup, Brown's in my lineup, Henrique's in my lineup. So really, we can say there's 3 forward spots. There's Corey Perry, there's Raphael Lavoie, there's Derek Ryan, there's Lane Peterson, James Hamblin. And then there's Pod Colson on the left wing, and Yarventi. Who do you see a surprise potentially on that fourth line?
I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm really intrigued by Lane Peterson. I wrote about this the other day on Oilers Nation. I just think a guy who, again, right shot, a little bit, or obviously a lot younger than Derek Ryan, put up some solid numbers in the American League last year. Like, he checks some serious boxes for the Oilers. So if there's one guy who's going to lose a spot, I can see it being Derek Ryan, or I can see a world where Derek Ryan's the 13th forward on opening night, and Lane Peterson is your fourth line center. I like Derek Ryan, but down the stretch last year, like, he doesn't move all that well, and you never know. It's that old thing where, like, if a guy at his age comes into the league or comes into camp a quarter step slower and the league's gotten a quarter step faster, then all of a sudden you're a half step behind everybody. And I could just see that playing out with a guy like Derek Ryan. I would love to see Raphael Lavoie on the team, and maybe that ends up panning out. But again, I have a tough time envisioning neither Derek Ryan or Corey Perry being on the opening night roster and them running a fourth line that's like Pud Colson, Peterson, and then on the right side, Lavoie. So I think Lavoie is probably on the outside looking in. I think the real competition, though, is that 4C spot, because I'm high on Lane Peterson.
Well, James Hamblin.
I like James Hamblin too. It's just, to me, he's a little bit more of a tweener in my eyes, and I don't know if I love him as a center. He's also a left shot, which I like having a right shot centerman in the mix. So again, hey, you could say Hamblin's done it at the NHL level and he's played games. And I guess you could almost throw, the way I view it, as Dermott being better than Gleason, you could throw that right back in my face with what I'm saying here in Peterson compared to Hamblin. But I don't know. I think I still just like the offense that Peterson put up, and the right shot thing is important.
Tyler Ramchuk from OilersNation.com joins us. Of course, the Oilers rookies have their medicals today. Then they'll jet out to Penticton. The veterans still skating. they will be on the ice next Thursday after medicals on Wednesday, and that'll be the latest you get on the Evander Kane. I don't think we're going to have some major surprise here on the health of Evander Kane, and you know what, I think the orders, they basically come out and said, hey, we don't want to go into LTIR. That's why we moved out some other bodies, which, says there's a pretty good chance maybe the Kane might not be ready to go. Now, might not be as serious as they thought. We had Grant Fedoruk on talking about potentially the options of surgery and what they might entail. Or there's still a chance that you just keep resting it. He says you can rehab it, but it all depends on it's a hard rehab without surgery. It just takes a long time, and the player has to be very committed to not doing anything. And I think that's very hard for anybody, but it's extremely hard for a high-level athlete to just rest and feel like, okay, this is the good thing, because they've been wired for so long that you have to be working.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And again, we had this conversation about the cap a couple of weeks ago, and I think we even had it after recording the DFO rundown once, where we were like, hey, the reason you couldn't really go and match and commit to being an LTIR is like, what if Evander Kane on January 1 is like, I feel great and I want to get going here. I don't want to sit out another 3 months. Like, I'm feeling good. Then you would have been hooped. You would have been trading a roster player you really like, or trying to find a way to trade Kane. Like, it would have just been an absolute mess. So again, who knows how long this ends up being, but what I like about the way they've structured themselves cap-wise is if it's January 1, February 1, March 1, or a week before the deadline, if Kane says, I'm coming back, I'm ready to go, then you have the flexibility to do it without having to sacrifice anything off your roster or being pigeonholed into making some sort of panic trade that you ultimately end up losing. So again, the Kane thing, I mean, whenever he comes back, you're just hoping it's 100% and you're getting the fully motivated and engaged Kane. But to go back to it, I like the flexibility that they've given themselves in that regard, because hey, if he ends up being out to the playoffs, if the recovery is slow, if it gets held up at some point, then you can sit there at the deadline and go, all right, let's really weaponize this cap space. But you've given the flexibility to be able to go down different paths.
Looking at free agents. So I asked the question, we got some interesting answers on the text line. So I said, going through the big name free agents, and there's obviously Steven Stamkos, there's Elias Lindholm, and Toffoli, Jake DeBrusk, Marcia So, Jeff Skinner here in Edmonton. You got Gensel in Tampa Bay. Which free agent scores the most goals on their new team? Not points, goals.
It's a chalk answer, but I think it's Steven Stamkos. Like, just again, him going to that power play is a right shot where you're going to have the left shot of Roman Josi potentially setting him up. And I know Stamkos was obviously around a lot of high-end skill in Tampa Bay, so it's not like there's going to be some big boost. But even with his age, I don't think he's going to slow down all that much. And he's going to a spot where he's going to be a fixture on what should be, for once, a very good power play out in Nashville. I think Steven Stamkos is the easy answer, although I'm really intrigued by Tyler Toffoli in San Jose. We were joking at the Nation offices when the deal came down that Toffoli, if you go back through his career, he's played a ton of playoff hockey. I kind of like it. He's kicking up his feet going, I'm going to play in San Jose. You get paid the same if you make the playoffs or not. I'll take my big ticket and I'll get a few more months of holidays every year. But I think him and potentially Will Smith or Macklin Celebrini could be a really nice fit together. Like, if you're a fantasy hockey player, I think a guy like Toffoli, who's going to get guaranteed top line minutes, guaranteed top line power play minutes as well in San Jose, I think he could be like a sneaky high 20s guy, even if San Jose is still terrible.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. Going back to Nashville and their power play. So, Stamkos should definitely give them a shooter, right? They were kind of middle of the road last year. I think they were 16th or 17th at 21.6%. My question in there is, who's the distributor of the puck, right? That's my one question with Nashville is because we know Stamkos is the finisher. That's kind of obvious. Right. And we'll see if Tampa's power play, what do they do to adjust? Do they move Braden Point to be the shooter on as the right shot? Because Gensel's a left shot. So is Kucherov. Right. So they can. Now, Edmonton plays with 4 lefties and does pretty well. So it's not like you can't do it. But Stamkos on that side has been such a fixture. I'm kind of curious how they adapt to it. But I'm also curious in Nashville is, okay, so you've got, we know Yossi's going to be on the first unit power play. You look at who they have: Forsberg, obviously, Ryan O'Reilly. I think Gustav Nyquist was on their first unit last season, but they could really use a right shot. That's what's interesting about it. But I'm kind of curious as to who's the distributor to help set up Stamkos.
Yeah, I think you're obviously kind of hoping it's a guy like Roman Josi, but another player I'm intrigued by if they give him a bit more of an opportunity, especially on a top unit, because like they brought in both Marchessault and Stamkos. They're both right shots. I don't think, and Forsberg's a right shot. I don't think you can have all three of them on your top unit, but a player in Nashville I've always been pretty high on is Tommy Novak. And, 26, 27 assists the last 2 years. He's gotten, a little bit of power play time. He's hit 12 power play points back-to-back years. But if you're looking for a lefty to maybe work in the middle a little bit, I wonder about a guy like Novak, who maybe he ends up playing a role there.
Yeah. One last one for you, Ty. If I had to ask you, so I pushed out the numbers yesterday, and I know you're a big baseball guy, and I was looking at Witt and Judge and Ohtani. Now, if there was just a one MVP, it'd be a hell of a race. But Ohtani's going to win the NL. I don't think it's that close. The AL, though, Witt and Judge are very close. Witt is top 5 in 10 of the offensive categories, whereas Judge is 8 of them, but he's first in 6 of them. Right, home runs, slugging percentage, some of those. Where do you see is Judge automatically getting it because he's got 50 dingers, or should Witt be getting way more consideration? Who would you go with?
I think Bobby Witt should be getting way more consideration. I loved the tweet you had the other day, and I saw it floating around of like if you were to switch the ballparks up, take one out of Yankee Stadium, take one out of Kauffman Stadium, they'd each have 38 home runs. And again, it comes down to, and we've done this debate in hockey, like, how do you view MVP? Are you just sitting there going, best player, we'll just give it to him, whatever? If you're talking about most valuable, there is one player, one qualified hitter on that Kansas City team who's got an OPS north of 850, and it is Bobby Witt. And listen, what Aaron Judge is doing is great, but I think the Yankees are still a good team if he goes down midway through the year because they have Juan Soto there. It's a dual threat superstar thing versus, in Kansas City, Bobby Witt has had a lot of clutch hits, and not that Aaron Judge hasn't, but if there's something big happening in Kansas City, it's Bobby Witt doing it right now. So, part of it is the flashy new toy, right? We've never seen this is Bobby Witt's coming out party. The guy who was expected to be a superstar for all those years coming up in the minors is arriving, and it's happening, and it's a lot more fun to talk about than a New York Yankee who likes talking about the New York Yankees. But I think Bobby Witt deserves a lot more love, and I think when you dig into some of the underlying metrics, his case just gets stronger and stronger.
One last one. When you look at McDavid this season, what is your point prediction?
I think he's getting back to the 150 range. I know last year he fell off by 21 points, and part of it, banged up, missed 6 games. There were some other factors at play there. I liked his interview with Spec where he talked about, hey, maybe I overtrained, and that's a lesson he's maybe learned. But I think he's going to get back to the 150 range. I've been saying, since the beginning of me talking about the Oilers and doing this, that when we look back at McDavid's career, there's going to be 1 or 2 years similar to Gretzky's where you look and you're like, how did he do that? Like, that is just insane. And I'll be honest, I don't think the 153-point season or the 105-point year when he only played the 56 games in that season, I don't think those are it. I think we still, we're about halfway through McDavid's career or somewhere in that ballpark. I think he's still got his best season ahead of him at some point here. If it's this year, maybe we see numbers that we didn't really think were really possible. Maybe he gets up to like the 164 range, 2 points a game. I think he can do that at one point in his career.
Well, his last 4 seasons, he had 1.88 points per game in the 56-game shortened season. He had which prorates to over 150. He had 1.87 points per game in 23 when he had 153 points. Last year, he had 1.74 points per game. Now, I say points per game because he obviously missed 6. I'm not using point total. I'm just going points per game. And then in 22, he had 1.54, which seems quite low for him. And so when you look at those numbers and you're like, right? You take the 188, 187, the 174, and you look and say, okay, well, just do the separation between them. And you're like, well, yeah, 1.8 points per game, maybe plus. Doesn't seem like a real big surprise at all. So, you know what? Could be onto something, Ty. See him at, over 140 probably shouldn't shock us, which is kind of crazy to say, considering there's just not many guys who have consecutive 130-point seasons.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many guys around the league where you set the bar at 100. So to be at the point where we're like, 150, it's probably at least 140, it's probably at least 140. Like, it's insane. But I really hope the Oilers have the mindset this season of, hey, pedal to the floor, we're the team to beat. Like, it's not just enough to be a playoff team, or I don't want to hear that, as long as we're playing our best hockey come playoff time. I would just love to see this Oilers team go pedal to the floor from night 1 till night 82 and really look like a juggernaut throughout the regular season.
Ty, have a good one, my man. We will chat with you next Wednesday and, of course, Monday on the Rundown.
Absolutely. See you, Greg.
There you go. That's Tyler Ramchuk. And from Oilers Nation, we asked the free agent, who do you think is going to score the most goals? Right now, the votes kind of spread out, to be honest. There are lots for Stamkos, quite a few for Gensel. Obviously, in Edmonton, there's quite a few for Jeff Skinner. Guys, I got Skinner. He'll lead with 36. Craig in Red Deer. Boys, Skinner, career high, 42 from Doug. Stamkos, he's fired up. He wants to shove it up Tampa. I think he'll be motivated. 46 for Stamkos. Ooh, 46. Nice. We can do it. Quick break. When we return, we are going to talk with former NHLer turned head coach next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, it's Brad McQuarrie from St. Albert Dodge. It's September, back to school time, and we're making it easier with great deals, like up to 10 grand cash back on selected vehicles, 20% off 2024 Ram 1500s, no payments for 90 days on selected vehicles, and how's this? A brand new Jeep Compass 4x4 for only $37,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, don't buy until you talk to us. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
It all began in 2006.
Edmonton's premier live music and party venue was born.
Well, guess what? We're now legal age.
On the Rocks is turning 18.
Party with us September 20th.
As we celebrate our 18th birthday.
Happy birthday!
To a sound station.
Live music from the Arcana King.
And a chance to win $500 cash.
Thank you for an amazing 18 years.
On the Rocks.
OTR's 18th birthday, September 20th.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
Well, get ready for a silly, hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words.
Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time.
You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance.
Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Diablo Boots in Canada West. Two great names in work and cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has work and cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Hurry in today for best selection.
.247. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley on a busy Wednesday afternoon. How you doing? Hope you're having an awesome day, awesome week. It's hump day. We're almost over halfway through the week. Well, pretty much are over halfway through the week. So good on you. Guess what? Next weekend, NHL camps open up. You got preseason 10 days from today. You've got so much going on in the world of sports. MLB stretch run. You got the CFL going on. NFL is back up. We've talked about it. Youth sports are already underway on football. The regular season in hockey is going to get going here right around the corner. And we'll talk a little hockey now as we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. And they always remind you to take action on your savings. If you're looking for solar for either your home or your business, they can provide it. Help you get all the savings you want through the government. Go to actionelectrical.net. Former NHLer. Of course, he was an assistant coach for the Edmonton Oilers and is now in his second tour of duty as the head coach of the University of Alberta Golden Bears men's hockey team. Ian Herbers joins us fresh off of a trip in Ireland. Herbie, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Getting over jet lag, feeling good.
Oh, jet lag. What about any Guinness lag? You're in Ireland. You must have had a pint or two.
We did a little bit of a Guinness tour, so yes, we had one or two, I guess.
Oh.
It was a good trip and a good tour. A photo out in front. The guys enjoyed it. They do a very good job on the tour and all the way through. So it was a good day for us.
What kind of maybe stood out for you on that Guinness tour?
Just the years of tradition, how long they go. They got a 9,000-year lease that they have built right into the floor.
Really?
So just all the thinking that far in advance, that and the preparation and the work and everything they do to put it, and then you get a nice pint of Guinness at the very top of the floor and a great view of the city.
Now, when you had it there, does it taste different than the Guinness here?
Night and day.
Yeah.
I rarely have it here back in Canada, just because now I'm spoiled with getting it right from the plant itself.
Yeah, no, that's what I've heard. I heard it's just unbelievable. So that's and the whole country itself. Like, where did this trip come about, Ian, to decide you guys were going to go over there?
Belfast had a cancellation in their exhibition schedule at the last second, so they were looking to replace the games. Us and Carlton, the head assistant coach in Carlton, used to play for Belfast. So our two teams went over there. Belfast treated us fantastic. Great food, good hotel, good situation, good rink. We had practice time available for us. Obviously, two very good games. Fans, we had good fan attendance, 4,000 or 5,000 fans per game. And so it was a good, really good trip.
So how many players would you take over for that?
We could only get 32 tickets, so we ended up with 25 players going and staff. Obviously, everybody's going to play a game. Some guys played two. an opportunity. It's tough taking 3 goalies in a situation like that, so we only took 2 goalies.
Yeah.
Player or 2 stayed behind. A couple guys that were looking at pro opportunities stayed behind as well.
Okay.
But we got a good look. Our core of our guys were there, so it's good to start our team building that way.
In looking at your team this season, where I know it's early, but obviously being recruiting, you kind of got a pretty good sense of what you have. What do you feel is going to be the strength of your team, and where's the areas you want to improve on from last year?
Our depth. We're a lot deeper than we have been the last couple of years. We have 12 new players this year, potentially 13, 14 if a couple guys come back from pro camps as well. So a big turnover. So right now we've been experimenting a lot of different line combinations, a lot of different D pairs. Guys, everybody getting a chance on power play, everybody getting a chance on penalty kill, just to see what we have and see if there's some chemistry that maybe we didn't think about or see about on the board. So everybody's getting a shot, an opportunity, mixed in, matched. But for us, probably the biggest thing will be our depth. We'll have 4 lines that can score and play, and 3 sets of D that will be good, puck moving D. We added a little bit more size. We got quicker, and we picked up some strong goaltending.
Now, the guys that are going to camps, who are they, and any concern that they might be getting? Obviously, concerns maybe the wrong word. Obviously, be super excited if they get a pro deal. But how many guys are going to camp?
Well, we have Mark Lajoie going to Oilers rookie camp here, Serge's son. He's been very good for us. He came to Ireland with us and has played, I think, 3 of our exhibition games now. Has been one of our top defensemen and has played very well. We got Parker Burge, who's off to LA's camp. Good chance he sticks around there as well. And we have a couple guys that are signed pro deals that are going to camp, and if things don't work out the way they expect, they might come back at Christmas time.
Oh, okay. Now you were a guy who, of course, went the back way then CIAU route, and then ended up going to the NHL. And it not that it's automatic because Derek Ryan's done it as a forward, but it just seems at times maybe a little bit better for defensemen just because you get more time to develop and learn the game.
Yeah, it's goaltending. It takes the most time. A lot of game to read in the forwards and the skill. Defense, and then a little easier forward stepping in, just playing with the speed and the skill. So no, there's opportunities for guys that want to keep working, keep developing. The way we train, our full-time strength conditioning coach with Phil Daly, and everything we do, the way we practice, the way we prep, the way we play is everything I've done. We're doing with Edmonton. We were doing it when I was in Milwaukee with Nashville's organization, in Johnstown when I was in the East Coast League. So getting guys ready, trying to play with speed, play with tempo, play with skill, make plays, improve every day, finding ways to get better every day. And the big part for our guys is working on that quickness and explosiveness and strength that you need to play in the pro in North America.
Ian Herbers joins us, head coach of the UA Golden Bears hockey program. Ian, you mentioned more depth, and that's kind of been a calling card for the Bears for a long time. When you won your championships, from some nights line 1 to 3, you didn't know which was your first line, right? And is that kind of what you're looking for? Is there a little bit of separate? Or is just more so we're looking for much better 3rd and 4th lines, or are you looking more to have almost even like you had for many years, where 1, 2, 3 there wasn't much of a difference?
Yeah, we want our lines pushing each other. Pushing for power play time, pushing to be on the penalty kill. That makes everybody better on our team, each individual better, and makes our team better. So we want to have, maybe the first line, so-called first line steps up one night or one period, and then the second, third, and even the 4th line we wanted chipping in. Those years we went back-to-back championship line. Our 4th line was our best line in playoffs and winning us Canada West titles. They shut down other teams and they played in the ozone. They chipped in, scored some goals, big goals for us, and we're key contributors. And that's what we're trying to get back to. The last couple of years, we've had a number of guys committed coming to us, and then end up signing pro deals, 2-year pro deals that they end up playing in the American Hockey League, East Coast League, and not coming to our program. So it left us a little bit lighter.
Okay. So, and that's one where, now this might be an odd question, Ian, but do you and Stan then look and say, okay, well, yeah, we got these guys committed, but because of that risk that they might turn pro, do you look at other guys that for sure you would get?
Yeah, that's our double-edged sword. We're looking for guys that are right on the cusp cusp of playing National Hockey League or American Hockey League or Pro that want to keep getting better. So we'll always be looking for those guys. Key for us is guys that want to get their education, want to keep developing, keep getting better in their game. And this past year, knowing that over the last couple of years, we recruited a few extra guys, knowing that we're going to lose a few guys signing pro deals. So it's given us that depth that we needed for this season.
Do you find, Ian, even from before when you went to Edmonton and then you've come back, just the overall depth at U Sports in the hockey program, like Canada West now, the U of A Bears dominated for a long time, which was great for the program. The added competitiveness, as it sucks because maybe it's harder to win a little bit, but it makes you better. Well, where do you see, is the league just that much better? Do you think finally the teams, they put in the time to say, okay, we got to compete with U of A? Not that they weren't competitive, but you guys were clearly the class of league for year after year after year for a long time. Is it more that they've just caught up and put more resources and more scouting into to make it more competitive?
Some of the programs have got better coaches that have come in and stepped in. Some of the situations, their alumni, which would have been one of our strengths, which was the big factor for a lot of those years. Our alumni was the best in the league.
Okay.
So now other alumni are starting to step up for their programs and help them along. Our alumni still a huge part of our program. So that's always a big factor. And they've gotten better. They've been trying to catch up to us and play against us all the time. And they're figuring out ways to get better. They're getting a few more recruits. There's quality players coming on the Western Hockey League and Junior A, and challenging us, which is good. It's better for us, like you said. It's better for the league instead of us just winning all the time. It's nice to see somebody else push and challenge and trying to win that national title. So we just got to keep finding ways for ourselves to keep getting better, keep improving our program. As I said, it's huge with the alumni, the support we get from them, and then our sponsors and donors for our program are a big part of it for us to keep moving forward.
Ian Herbers joins us, head coach of the U of A Golden Bears men's hockey program. Last one for you, Ian. As a coach, you've got a lot of coaching experience. You've had a lot of success. How do you self-evaluate? What do you look at and maybe coming into a new season and how you want to improve as a coach?
Always looking at that. For me, I start actually in the summertime. I help out Hockey Alberta, and I mentor for their HP1 program in Red Deer. Okay. So it gives me a chance to have 9-10 coaches each summer to work with them and help them improve their coaching, which helps me improve my coaching. So something for me is education. The year before, I was at a coaching clinic down for the coaches site down in Michigan. So always talking to people, finding ways to get better. I'm very fortunate here to have somebody, Billy Morris, who comes to a lot of our practices and all our home games. Okay. So I'll meet up with him and go for a coffee or have breakfast. And, he's an outside set of eyes and ears. So he's not in the coach's room or in the dressing room, but he sees a lot and knows what's going on and sees where our team has been and how we're progressing and everything else. So it's great to have somebody like that and talk things through, get some feedback from him. And he's been fantastic help for me as well.
Ian, it's always great to catch up with you. Happy that you had a few good pints and some good hockey in Ireland. And best of luck. We'll talk to you throughout the year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's Ian Herbers, head coach of the Bears program. What a great opportunity that was. Kind of last minute. And boom, you head over to Ireland. Probably a great experience for the players. A little bit of team bonding, but a lot of fun in an actual beautiful country. Right. And just a little cherry on the Sunday is getting the Guinness tour. We've had a lot of texters saying they've went there and it is amazing. Gregor, Ian's right. It can't even compare. And I like Guinness before, but when you have it over there, you almost feel spoiled when you come back. It obviously has to do with something of the shipping or whatever, but it doesn't taste the same here. Yeah, I would think so. Right. Like it'd be hard to somehow stay, as fresh when you transport it from there to here. And just different, and even if you look at maybe temperatures and everything else, and could you make it here the same? Probably not. So especially at that factory, that long of a lease. First of all, that's unbelievable. It is. There's certain places that you want to go to. Like Ireland's on my list, not for Guinness, but if I'm there, I'm definitely going to the Guinness. Like it's no brainer. It's like when you go, in Nashville. Right? You're going to tour some of the whiskeys, man. You just have to because it's unbelievable. Coming up after 3 o'clock, we got lots more tech. Good answers coming in on the text line today. I'd like to ask a few questions. We'll get some of your thoughts regarding which free agent you like. Also, hey, Gregor, I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to say McDavid 144. And we might wait on the McDavid one to kind of get through training camp and stuff, because that is an interesting question for me. And we'll throw in a little numbers for you to get you in the spirit. Because, on this show, we love the numbers. We'll get to that. But first, let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Happy to have them back on for another year here on Sports 1440. And if you're looking for a great deal, guess what? No interest, no payments for 1 year on your AC or your furnace. Hey, it's going to get cold soon. Don't think about it. But you know what's going to happen. Plan ahead at legacyheating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making a few hockey operations additions for the upcoming season. Tobias Salmelainen is joining as the player acquisition and development in Europe. Andreas Carlson and Vincent Malt both on as player development coaches. Vincent Malt also doubling as a mental performance coach for the team. The Toronto Maple Leafs have signed Max Pacioretty to a PTO today. They also signed defenseman Yanni Hakanpää to a 1-year contract with $1.47 million. Last season, he had 2 goals and 12 points in 64 games with the Dallas Stars. And the Utah Hockey Club has signed forward Kyle Yamamoto to a PTO. From the NFL, Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert will not play tomorrow when the Bills are in town. Devon Achane will be a game-time decision with an ankle injury. Major League Baseball, top of the 8th inning out in Toronto. Jays leading the Mets 1-0. Elsewhere, Diamondbacks have an 8-2 lead on the Rangers, and the Guardians on top of the White Sox 6-4 in the top of the 9th. Earlier on today, it was the Pirates over the Marlins by a score of 3-1. Later, the Mariners take on the Padres, Brewers in San Fran, Cards taking on the Reds, Red Sox host the Orioles, Angels in Minnesota, and the Braves up against the Nationals. 3 games in the WNBA tonight. Caitlin Clark and the Fever taking on Asia Wilson and the Aces. That'll get going at 5. Then you got the Mystics and Sky and the Sparks hosting the Storm. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Sipping gin and juice, just trying to stay cool. And I'm sweating buckets bigger than a swimming pool. Cruise to Heritage Mall to enjoy some AC. Then my shorty hears the homies from Legacy. I say, listen, yo, where we gonna get the dough to pay Legacy from the radio? He says Legacy Heating's got a deal that's the bomb with no interest or payments flipping all year long. No money, no problems. That's the life that I choose. Chillaxing with thousands of BTU. Doing whatever the heck that was. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Island Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Buy early and score with the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Bonus prize deadline is midnight September 20th. Win Lower Bowl Oilers season seats plus $50,000 cash and be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize. A show home with $100,000 cash plus incredible vehicles, luxury vacations, and more. Oilers bonus prize deadline is midnight September 20th. Be mighty. Support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car, and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge, and I hope you, yes you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
Just after 3 o'clock on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Woo! A little spoiler alert here. If you're recording the Jays game, turn your radio off for a few seconds. But Bowden Francis, this guy is on fire again. He's flirting with another no-no. I don't believe in jinxes, so we can talk about it. But, man, this guy has absolutely been killing it lately for the Toronto Blue Jays. So he's got a no-hitter. I think the 8th inning's over now, Cons. It's through 8. For him, anyway. All right. Yeah, so there you go. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. This is a game where you wanted to pick the under with both those pitchers on the mound if you're a fan of the under, which I'm not, but it would have been a good play at PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get your tickets for Lotto 649 tonight at PlayAlberta.ca. Also a record-breaking jackpot on Friday. $75 million in Lotto Max. So get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. Lots of text line in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Gregory being hinted at Kane for a long time. Any other orders that are banged up? Well, Kane, I've said it for months. Well, I said it way back in June. I didn't expect Evander Kane. I kind of outlined what I thought was going to happen, and so far, it's come to fruition. I thought he would try to rehab it first without surgery, and you know what? That's what he tried. I don't think it's worked, or maybe they need more time for that. But either way, he's not going to be expected to start the regular season. Now, I've heard some rumblings about, now he skated, but I was watching Darnell Nurse. I think Darnell Nurse is, I won't be surprised if he doesn't play very much in the opening few games of preseason. And I don't know if they get into real contact drills, I don't know if you'll see him in, some of the camps. So can I put him on limited, Cons? That might happen. Like I could see him skating on his own, but not with the team. I think we could see that happen. So did he just give up another home run in the so this is the second time he had a no-hitter broken up by a home run in the 9th inning.
Yeah, Lindor just went yard.
Brutal. God, that's got to be tough for him.
Guy's unreal through 8, though.
Oh, touche. How many pitches are you throwing today?
Let's see if I can track it down here.
Like, is he like at 110 again? That's why they're going to take him.
111.
Okay, so he basically had a chance to do it, but see, that's what sucks. You go 8 innings of no hit ball, you're pitching great. You give up 1 hit, and now you walk out of the game and being like, oh, geez, right? You probably feel bad, but I hope he doesn't. Like, it looks like he's got a little smile on his face. He should be. That is, for a rookie pitcher, he's a little bit older for a rookie, I understand it, but still, he's a rookie. And those are 2 amazing performances, and not just 2. He's been really good here for a few months for the Jays, and is makes you believe that he could be a difference maker for them moving forward. So I would say, but anyway, to answer the question, sorry we got off on a tangent there. But Kane, yes, and Nurse, just I think they're hoping everything will be good for the start of the season, but I think they're going to be cautious come training camp and preseason. So that's there's where I would stand for the order. Now, could there be someone else possibly? Right, there's a few other guys. Now, maybe they're just not in town, but I haven't seen him out. Haven't seen Matthias Janmark yet, but that doesn't mean anything. He could just arrive late. There's no, it's not an issue unless he's not here by next Wednesday for medicals, right? So, but yeah, like Darnell Nurse, if that is something that's serious, well, that's a big concern. But I don't think it's serious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been skating with the team. It's just kind of lingering. And so I think there's caution would be the best way I would say that one. Hey, guys, Guinness is not good here. It's okay for a dry stout there. There are many breweries in Alberta that brew a much better stout than Guinness. Do tell me, Ryan from Bentley. Let me know which ones. I'm a big fan. I love the ale, so let me know. Hey, guys, I did the Guinness tour with my Irish cousin. We got to the end, which is right on top of the building in a glass room overlooking Dublin. You get a pint with your ticket, and he's like, oh, I don't drink Guinness. You can have mine. 2 pints of Guinness, and it's so much better over there from Stu. The guy just said, I don't drink Guinness without even trying it over there? What? Jeez. What a loser.
I did the Alexander Keith's tour in Halifax.
And you didn't have it?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Ashley isn't a beer drinker. Even she took a sip just to say you did.
Yeah, you got to take a sip.
She passed it over to me afterwards, but
how
tours,
was it, by the way?
It was really cool. Really cool. They had music at the end, live performance. It was well worth your time if you're out there.
Yeah.
I think any brewery tour that's, older than 25 years, maybe anyone that you can go to at all when you get to have a couple of drinks, worth your time, always.
So Bowden Francis became the second Blue Jay pitcher to enter the 9th inning with a no-hitter on multiple occasions, and both of them have come in the last few months. He joins Dave Stieb. Is the only 2 Jays pitchers to have a no-hitter through 8 innings twice, at least. So, it's a pretty strong performance for a young guy. And obviously, he not only, I'm sure if he gives up a single, it's one thing, but it's to give up a home run twice in the 9th inning. That's what's tough about it. Now, guys, how's Nurse still hurt? Shouldn't he have rehab, got surgery for whatever's bugging him? Wasn't there reports he was dealing with something all year and that's why he was bad? Vinny, you can be rehabbing stuff and getting better and just be cautious about it. It's not like you rehab it and boom, everything's like you can't speed up rehab. That's just how it goes. You can't do it. You can't say, hey, I have to be ready by September 23rd. And it's not how it works. So obviously he's close because he's been skating in the Olympics. That's why I said they're just going to be cautious. Right? He's been on the ice. So it's, as I said, it's more cautionary than anything else. Right? You can skate and you got to remember when you're not playing contact, the odds of aggravating it are very different depending on the injury. Right? Soft tissue injury, it's core injury, maybe. I couldn't get confirmation on what it is. But that's where it comes from, Nurse. And which is why I've been pushing for the last few weeks that a left PTO was the answer for the Edmonton Oilers. And the fact that they just didn't have a lot of left depth anyway. Even if Nurse is healthy, they still needed someone else. They had all these righties, just didn't have a ton of lefties. So, but don't, like I said, don't get too upset. This is not, it becomes an issue if he's not ready by October 9th. That's when the regular season starts. If Darnell Nurse misses the preseason game on September 22nd, that whole first week, right? Because the Oilers play on the 22nd against Winnipeg the Sunday. They play 2 games on the 23rd against Calgary. Then they play on the 25th and the 27th, right? So they'll have, what is that, 5 games? No, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 games in the first 6 days of the preseason. He can still wait and get into the final 2. Nurse is a guy who likes to be on the ice lots and play. So, but I think this might be a case where the medical staff is just like, let's pull back the reins a bit. And we don't need you to be going all out in September, right? It's just how it goes. You don't need to be that crazy. Hey, guys, I'm going to St. Louis tomorrow. We're going to check out the Bud Factory. Sounds like this will be a good decision from the Liney. Yeah, why not? Except it's Bud. Like, even though it's made there, it's probably going to be the best Bud you've ever had. But it's still Bud. I'm not a Budweiser fan. I don't like. Now, maybe the Budweiser here is different than the Budweiser there. I'm going to guess it probably is. How much better is it? Anybody who's had it there, let me know. But I'm more of an ale guy now than I am a lager. Right? I find ales have a lot more flavor and a lot more taste for sure. Hey guys, our fan base's ability to set aside their hate and look at facts is absolutely astounding to me. We did not go to the finals last year without Nurse. The hate is insane. His contract number needs to be set aside. It is what it is. From J. Mac. Hey guys, if they knew this about Nurse, why would they trade Cece? Can't be that serious, can it? Yeah, again, yes. If it was serious, he wouldn't be on the ice, right? Evander Kane, not on the ice. That one is definitely more serious. This one is a little bit more precautionary, where you're going to err on the side of caution. Because if you're getting on the ice, even in a non-contact, okay, guys are going fast, right? I don't know if I ever saw guys going 100%, but in a lot of cases, they're going 95, at least with speed and acceleration and everything like that. So I wouldn't, could Nurse have played better in some games? 100%. But there's games where he played very well, right? It happens. He'll never, and I understand it. You can't just completely ignore the cap hit. That is a factor involved. Stan Bowman said it on our show last week. In the salary cap era, you have to, because sometimes you're like, well, hey, if we can trade for this guy, he might be a little bit less of a player, but he's $2 or $3 million less. Well, that helps us because maybe we can improve somewhere else in your lineup. So that is a factor. We can't just ignore the contract. But as I've always said, if he's making $8 million, does it make that drastic of a difference? No, not really. So, and when they're on the ice, I just evaluate how they play. I think Nurse can play better. But probably more consistent is the better term. Because I thought he was really good. November, December, January, leading right up until the All-Star break. When he came back from the All-Star break, wasn't as good. So that's where I think he, without question, needs to be better. Hey guys, stats show the Oilers are one of the oldest, if not the oldest team in the NHL. It's an overreaction, but how serious is having an older team, especially in the playoffs? With conditioning, I don't think it's a major factor. Also, I do recall the Maple Leafs had an older team when they won the Cup in '67 from Marty McFly. Wow, yeah, older teams have won, Marty. What happened in '67 is probably not greatly relevant till now, other than mentioning to Leafs fans what happened in '67, or more importantly, what hasn't happened since '67. Is being the oldest team an issue? Well, I'd have to look at the list. I'm going to guess for the most part, a lot of the competitive teams are there. Now, there's going to be some that aren't, for sure. But remember when the Oilers were the youngest team, or second youngest, third youngest, fifth youngest team in the league? How'd that do for them? I think you know the answer. So maybe you don't want to be the oldest. But again, if the oldest is players on your fourth line, but your core guys aren't old, is it then somewhat misleading a bit? I think that would be fair. Corey Perry, Derek Ryan, 2 oldest guys on the team. They're gonna every player has a role and every player matters, but they don't matter as much as the guys who play 20 plus minutes a night. So I always think it's important to, okay, yeah, oldest team in the league, but then let's look at and see how, the age factor impacts different positions. When we come back, John Hodge will join us. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It all began in 2006.
Edmonton's premier live music and party venue was born.
Well, guess what? We're now legal age.
On the Rocks is turning 18.
Party with us September 20th.
As we celebrate our 18th birthday.
Happy birthday!
Enjoy Sound Station.
Live music from the Arcana Cake.
And a chance to win $500 cash.
Thank you for an amazing 18 years.
On the Rocks.
OTR's 18th birthday, September 20th.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Buy now, win more with Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Score big with the Oilers bonus prize, lower bowl season seats, and $50,000 cash. Take off with the Fiji and Maserati early bird prize, a 7-night vacation to Fiji and a Maserati. Or take $175,000 cash and be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
What's better than Tim's Rewards points? 2 times the Tim's Rewards points. Use Scan and Pay on the Tim's app from now until September 30th to earn 2 times the points. Pay, earn, and redeem all with one scan. Only on the Tim's app. Canada only, limited time only. Terms apply. See app for details.
They shot a movie once in my hometown. Everybody was in it for miles around. Out at the Speedway.
$3:24. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Happy hump day. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. If you're going to wager, use your Game Sense. Go to GameSense.ab.ca. You can keep getting involved in the show. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. As it's time to talk a little football in the football report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where if all of a sudden your AC unit or your Furnace goes down late at night on the weekend, call Legacy. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. As John Hodge from 3 Down Nation joins us. John, it's been quite the season in the CFL. You had the Bombers and the Elks limping out of the gate, but both of them have turned it around. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan now can't win to save their life. Toronto seems to be going in the opposite direction ever since they brought Kelly back. Well, I guess let's start with Saskatchewan and Toronto. And what do you make of both of those two teams going in the complete wrong direction all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with Saskatchewan. I mean, this team has lost a ton of close games. The Labor Day Classic, I was there in Regina for it. Banjo Bowl, I was there for it in Winnipeg. Both very close. I think the surprising thing when you look at, both of these teams, to be quite frank, is how they haven't turned things around even when getting their starting quarterback back, right? I mean, Saskatchewan, not that Shea Patterson lit it up, but Saskatchewan won a lot of games with him under center while Trevor Harris was out. Same thing. Toronto was like a 500 football team, right, with Cameron Dukes at the helm. And neither of these teams has gotten markedly better since Trevor Harris and Chad Kelly came back respectively. I mean, Saskatchewan has played undisciplined football the last couple of weeks, taking some unnecessary penalties. Toronto, meanwhile, I think a lot of people expect them to beat BC. BC, like Vancouver, Toronto, it's a tough road trip. And the Argos even getting those couple picks against Nathan Rourke. They weren't overly competitive in that game. So to me, this is, I wouldn't say it's panic button time for either team, but, I think a lot of people expected Toronto to host a playoff game this year. Right now, they're not in position to do that. I think everybody expected Saskatchewan to make the playoffs this year, and they're only 1 point in right now, atop of Edmonton. So those two teams have to find the gas pedal soon, and they got to find a way to press it.
What about the quarterback situation in Toronto?
Well, I think Chad Kelly's the best one they got, but he hasn't been the Chad Kelly we saw last year, and that's something that I remember talking to some people about. Especially at Grey Cup, debating the MOP vote between him and Brady Oliveira. What Chad had going for him was he was, of course, the quarterback on the best team in the league. What he had going against him was, this is a guy with 23 touchdowns and 12 picks, and he's playing behind what was the best offensive line in the CFL. He had arguably the best receivers in the CFL, and this past offseason between, AJ Ouellette taking money in free agency, between Andrew Harris retiring, between a bunch of changes that happened on the defensive side of the ball as well as the offensive side of the ball in Toronto. You kind of went, okay, well, this supporting cast that Chad had, and the offensive line is the same. That's the one unit that is essentially the same from last year. But the running backs, the receivers, a lot of them have changed. Can he be the guy, right? Can he elevate this group, or was he simply the benefactor in 2023 of a truly elite supporting cast? And though you hesitate to criticize too much, because this is a guy who didn't really have a training camp in preseason, at least not in the traditional sense. I know he was still around the team, but he wasn't actively practicing for the first few months of the season. He has so far, I think, shown that at the very least he was benefiting somewhat from that strong supporting cast in Toronto. This is not a guy who has walked in the last month and completely lit that team on fire. I think he's been better than Cameron Dukes was. I think he's been better than Nick Arbuckle was. But the difference is marginal, and he has yet to look like an MOP. I'll put it that way.
Oh, gosh, yeah, not really even close. What about just the fact that he's back?
Well, look, the 9-game suspension, I think was warranted. I know some people have been comparing this to the Sean Lemon situation. Sean Lemon, who, of course, bet on at least one of his own games as a member of the Calgary Stampeders back in 2021. He's out indefinitely. I'm not going to cast moral judgment on anybody here. I don't really feel like that's my job, but I appreciate that some people from a moralistic side have said, well, what's worse? Is it, allegations of workplace sexual harassment, or is it some of which, by the way, were corroborated by an independent third-party investigation,
right?
Or is it betting on your own team? I get it. I think the concern from the league standpoint is this is the first, at least with Sean Lemon, is the fact that he's the first person that we know of who has bet on his own games. And I think Randy Ambrosie in the league office is very concerned about setting a precedent that you could do that and be back in even the same season. Whereas the Chad Kelly situation, we do have not an exact comparable, but we do have previous examples of players who, had transgressions in other leagues in college or even after arriving in the CFL and returning to the field. So is it fair that he's playing? I don't know. I think that's up for everybody to say. Randy Ambrosie continually touts that they've spoken to experts, but also for obvious legal reasons, the league is not forthcoming when it comes to the exact details of what exactly happened, what exactly the conversations were that took place between them and the experts. So it's a sticky situation.
Oh yeah, 100%. Meanwhile, the Bombers and the Green and Gold both on a bye. Both teams off to slow starts. Obviously, the Elks is worse, going 0-7, but suddenly both are playing well. The Elks are 5-1 in their last 6 games. It started when they got Trey Ford going. Then when he got nicked up, Bethel Thompson played good enough, played great in the one game in Calgary to get the wins. What do you make of Edmonton since the coaching change?
Well, I think they look like a brand new team, right? I mean, I've spoken to some people in that organization, and they've talked about a renewed energy that they felt, a negativity that was lifted when Chris Jones was fired. And I think that that's palpable when you watch this team, right? They look like a team that likes coming to work and likes playing together. And, early on in the year, you didn't really see Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel Thompson standing together on the sidelines talking.
No, not at all.
Stuff. Now you do. Right. And I think that's a full credit to Jarius Jackson, who, by the way, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but should Jarius Jackson be the coach of the year in the CFL? I know he didn't coach the first 5 games. He was an OC, but when you look at the landscape, I mean, what he has done and what that team has accomplished since he took over is pretty remarkable. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to G. Roy Simon as well, the interim GM, who's helped make some moves and facilitate some things. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it would surprise anybody if those two had the interim tags removed. I mean, why mess with a good thing? This team is playing good football right now. They're running the ball extremely well. Steven Sorrell's the offensive line coach who got ran out of town in Regina a couple of years ago, has that offensive line playing, I think, the best of any in the CFL right now. And that O-line too. I mean, again, you give credit to G. Roy Simon and to Steven Sorrell's. That O-line is a bunch of cast-offs. Like Saskatchewan didn't want Brett Boyko anymore. Toronto, who took Shane Richards with the first overall pick in 2019, tried to trade him last year. Nobody wanted him. Well, now he's starting at guard and playing at a very high level. David Foucault, his hometown Montreal Alouette, didn't want him. So he's there in Edmonton. So, they have taken this kind of band of misfits and really have them playing like a team. I think Chris Jones, that was his goal, right? As well, let's pick up these guys off the scrap heap and, we'll pair them with a bunch of super athletic guys from the States that I'll find in, these schools that nobody else looks at, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work under Chris Jones. It's working under Jarius Jackson. And who would have thought, as you mentioned, Jason, after the first month or so of the season, that everybody would be excited about a September football game between Edmonton and Winnipeg? Yeah,
John Hodge joins us. Really, the big change was, and Jarius Jackson didn't do it right off the hop, was playing Trey Ford. That changed everything for this team. He gave them, they came in that game against Hamilton when they should have put him in at halftime, and they didn't. They waited till the game was out of hand, and then, he was great in the third quarter, and then it carried over for the next few starts. Unfortunately, he got nicked up, and, I said it even in the rematch of Calgary, as great as Bethel Thompson played, I would have had him on a short leash for sure, just because I think Trey Ford and Jarius Jackson did admit that, when he spoke, G. Roy Simon, they spoke today that, Ford just gives them things that Bethel Thompson can't do. The Elks have become a really good running team, which is something they didn't do in the first 7 games, right? Like Bethel Thompson was attempting 38 passes a game. It was ridiculous, right? Like they had no running game. Now, maybe the O-line, maybe they've changed their blocking schemes. I talked to Eddie Steele and others, and he knows the game way better than I do, and he hasn't really seen a massive, significant difference in their blocking scheme. So maybe the guys are just playing better, right? Or they're playing looser. I don't know. But when Edmonton started to run the ball and they brought in Trey Ford, who passed it very well, that made a big difference.
Well, yes. And I mean, and Trey Ford not only brings something that McLeod Bethel-Thompson doesn't, he brings something that no other quarterback in the league can bring, right? Like Trey Ford might be the best athlete in the CFL. He just happens to play quarterback, right? We think of, DBs and receivers as elite athletes. Trey Ford, I mean, he runs a true 4-4. Like I think Lamar Jackson would be the only other quarterback on the planet who can do that. And I'm not saying that Trey Ford is Lamar Jackson, but the tools that he has are remarkable. And the way that he can buy time, the way that defenses have to adjust because they are terrified of him killing them with their legs, I think opens up all kinds of opportunities for other players. And in terms of the offensive line, I think something that some people, the analytics crowd, they think that running the ball is overrated and you can just throw it 45 times a game and win.
No.
Sometimes that works. But at the end of the day, if you're an offensive lineman, if you're dropping back 45 times, that means you're moving backwards, right?
Yeah.
Voluntarily 45 times in a row, while 240 to 320 pound defender smashes into you as hard as they can. And the more that you can get those offensive linemen firing off the ball and moving forward and being the hammer instead of the nail, so to speak, I think that's a great way to build confidence. I think that's a great way to establish yourself as a physical football team. And I think that's a great way to keep defenders in check, because if defenders know that 80% of the time they're just pass rushing, then that simplifies the game for them. It keeps them less honest, and it keeps them from having to be as fundamentally sound in terms of, gap coverage and things like that. So I think that running the ball is a good idea for any team, especially if you've got, I don't want to say young offensive line, because it's not really a young offensive line. It's experience. It's just a group of cast-offs that haven't really played together. So if you've got a group like that, I think it's really smart to have them firing off the ball, be physical. It's a big offensive line. I mean, Shane Richards, 6'6", Brett Boyko, 6'6", David Foucault, 6'8". There's not a lot of guards who are that tall. He's that tall. If you've got these guys in the size and the strength, you may as well use it. And when you've got a group of runners like Trey Ford and Javon Leake, Kevin Brown, like Justin Rankin, like these guys are really good runners. So you may as well do that, because that's going to open up so much in the passing game.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. And it helps when you have a running attack like they do. Then I throw in their defense, and, 9 interceptions the last 2 games obviously has helped. And speaking of that, I really thought Dave Dickinson's stubbornness got to him. That game wasn't out of reach at halftime, John. And their rookie quarterback looked lost. I would have put Jake Meyer in that game at starting the third quarter.
I don't disagree. I mean, it was a short week, right? So there wasn't much of an opportunity for Logan Bonner to get reps. And, when you're a backup quarterback in the CFL, you're lucky to get, when I talk to people around the league, you're maybe getting 20% on a good day of the reps as a backup. You're more often getting under 10%. And so when we talk about teams developing young quarterbacks, I wouldn't say that that's a farce necessarily, because these guys are still in the meeting rooms and they're still, getting some reps, but it's not like they're getting out there and practice every day and getting a chance to really work their butt off. They're mostly taking mental reps. They're mostly watching other people do their job, which is, a strange activity in and of itself. I don't know about you, Jason. I've never sat and watched somebody do my job for 8 hours and just sat there and watched. But anyway, it's, I think that absolutely they should have gone back to it. And I respect the move. Like, I think Dave Dickinson looked at Logan Bonner like you might look at the smash in case of emergency button that you see on the walls of some industrial building. Like, that's, I think, what Dave Dickinson did. He ran over, he smashed it. He said, well, Jake Mayer threw 4 picks. What do we have to lose at this point? We may as well play the kid. And they played the kid, and he threw 5, right? So I agree. He probably should have gone back to Jake Mayer. It looks like they're going to go back to Jake Mayer this week. But Matthew Schultz is also in the mix there. He's been hurt with an ankle for the last, I think, 5 weeks. But wouldn't surprise me if Matthew Schultz gets a look before the season is done.
Looking at the BC Lions and Nathan Rourke, what's your expectation for him? And then what do you think happens to Vernon Adams?
Well, I think this offseason is kind of a foregone conclusion. They're going to trade Vernon Adams Jr. And I don't think it's hard to predict the realistic landing spots. I think Calgary is a realistic landing spot for Vernon Adams Jr. Depending on what happens with Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I think Edmonton's a possibility. Depends on Saskatchewan if they want to bring Trevor Harris back. He's a pending free agent. He's 38 years old. I could see VA in Regina. Depends on Hamilton, what they see with Boldy by Mitchell. I think the Ticats are an option. Everywhere else, I think, is pretty much set for their quarterbacks. But for this season, I mean, you ask a great question. Rick Campbell spoke to the media yesterday and said, well, Nathan's going to start for us this week. Then they have a bye. And after that, they're going to assess it week by week. So I think it's possible that we could see a situation where Vernon Adams Jr., who's missed the last just over a month with a knee injury, is going to start 1 week, and then maybe they'll go back to Nathan. Or if
honestly, you think they would do that?
I think they absolutely could. I mean, those two were teammates back in 2022 when Nathan was out with the Lisfranc injury. They like each other. They respect each other. And I mean, every team has the same goal every year, which is to win a Grey Cup. But this team playing at home in Vancouver in the Grey Cup, I think adds an extra dimension. And I think that everybody knowing that at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, Nathan's going to be the guy there long-term because of the geography, because of the Canadian passport, because of the contract that he signed, because of the unbelievable level he played at in 2022. You know, long-term, it's not like they're jockeying for position. I think everybody knows they're going to be playing against each other in 2025. So everybody just has to keep their heads down for the next, and it's not even that long, right? They got 5 more regular season games, and then they hope they have 2 playoff games, the West Final and the Grey Cup. So it's not that much longer that they have to coexist. Again, they're saying the right things, and I think it passes the sniff test when you see them on the sideline together working. But I think if you're Rick Campbell, why wouldn't you use both, right? Whether you're swapping starters, whether you're implementing packages in games, whether you're just going with the hot hand, right? Any team would be lucky to have 2 quarterbacks as good as these 2 guys. I think you're silly if you don't use both.
I'll say this about the Elks. They need to sign Trey Ford sooner than later. I know there's some people saying, oh, what, maybe go to Hamilton. If Chris Jones is in Hamilton, even if he's only the DC, I'll say there's 0 chance that Trey Ford goes to Hamilton.
Hey, I think they'd be smart to sign him now.
Oh, 100%. I agree. I think Larry Thompson, other than driving through the Stampeder bench, the biggest decision he has is when they're going to sign Trey Ford. And I think sooner than later. I think they had to announce Trey Ford as their starter coming out of the bye week. Otherwise, I think that decision would tell me that Jarius Jackson and G. Roy Simon hadn't learned from the mistake Chris Jones made, because they went 0-15 in games that Trey Ford didn't start for 2 years until he finally got back in this season. And he had been a 500 starter at that time. Like, it was a no-brainer to me. And I was stunned that the organization, even with Jones gone, there's still been 3 games where they didn't start him. And I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair criticism. They certainly should have gone to him sooner. At the very least, they should have had packages for him to go out and run, right? And just force defenses to prepare for him because, again, he is such a unicorn in the CFL. There's nobody else like him as a quarterback who has that type of speed. I mean, Chris Streveler kind of does packages in Winnipeg, but, again, he's a different kind of runner. Like, Chris Streveler is a north-south quarterback athlete. Yeah. Trey Ford is a north-south, east-west, and in some cases even up and down. Like, he can beat you anyway from Sunday. I will say this. I don't think that anything is going to happen with Trey Ford until they sort out who the GM is going to be. And so I think that is fair. Probably the most important thing. They also need a team president. And it's not a shot at Rick Wallisher, who's been there since the start of last year.
He doesn't want to. No, he can't be the guy. And I would agree. That's probably step one. And I've talked to people around the league, and they think that needs to happen by middle of October at the latest.
Yeah, and that would be a good timeline, right? Because if you can get that figured out, you can give the president a bit of a runway to either, make G. Roy Simon the full-time GM or decide you're going to do an off-season search. And if you do an off-season search, I mean, you're probably getting somebody by hopefully Christmas. And then hopefully you're getting Trey Ford under contract by, let's say, the middle of January, because I agree that is a high priority. Things are a lot simpler if you just make G. Roy Simon the GM, right? Because that way he can hit the ground running. I'm not sure if there have been contract talks between G-Roy Simon and Trey Ford, between Trey Ford and the Elks yet. I've been led to believe there have not been formal negotiations, but that's not confirmed. But certainly you'd think that, especially with the crowd that you saw for that Labor Day rematch, certainly you'd think you'd want to keep the good times rolling, right? The Edmontonians love Trey Ford.
Oh, as they should. Exciting player. John, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Have an awesome day.
Thanks, Jason. Anytime.
There you go. That's John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. Honestly, I think that contract, to me, I let the owner negotiate that contract. The owner ain't going anywhere. And whoever my president comes in, if the president doesn't think Trey Ford's the guy moving forward, then he shouldn't be the president. Right? And whether it's G-Roy Simon as the interim or anybody else as a GM, look around the league. Who are you going to get that's better than Trey Ford? And I'm not talking just, I think too many people think, I'm talking long term. Trey Ford could be a franchise quarterback for a long, long time. To me, it's kind of a no-brain decision. Bethel Thompson's 36. Now, he's not the answer. Jake Meyer's not the answer. You think Vernon Adams is the answer? That'd be not the answer for me. I think it's Trey Ford. I don't think it's close. 346, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. I got a lot of text flying. I love it. We talk green and gold now. People get pretty fired up. We'll get to that. More on the orders that we discussed, some injury updates. Also, we'll hear from Chris Knobloch, the head coach, next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg. Worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for 2 with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
number.
Elevate your home's curb appeal effortlessly with House Numbers Canada, locally owned and operated right here in Edmonton. Their state-of-the-art modern house numbers and address signs are the perfect solution for a quick and stylish upgrade. Multiple size and color options, stock items, custom designs, and the always popular LED illuminated numbers. Quality guaranteed or your money back. So what are you waiting for? Give your home the modern upgrade it deserves. Explore House Numbers Canada's exclusive collection at housenumberscanada.ca.
Buy early and score with the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Bonus prize deadline is midnight September 20th. Win lower bowl Oilers season seats plus $50,000 cash and be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize. A show home with $100,000 cash plus incredible vehicles, luxury vacations, and more. Oilers bonus prize deadline is midnight September 20th. Be mighty. Support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2024 Sierra 1500 Elevation. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I see a red cloud and I want it into black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. The girls will buy dressed in their summer clothes. You turn back.
Yeah, tell me if there's anything specific. $350. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Declan Cougar running things at Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Of course, we're live on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. We got a lot of texts flying in, people wondering about the Oilers and the Elks. A lot of texts about Trey Ford. Yes, he is starting when they return. They're on a bye week this week, as are the Bombers, as are the Riders. And Edmonton hosts Winnipeg next Saturday. Before then, the Oilers will open up camp. Do not expect, and we've been talking about this for months. I know some people try to keep saying every day it's breaking news. There's nothing breaking about it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Evander Kane, the GM has talked. This is nothing new. Okay. Evander Kane is not going to be on the ice for start of training camp. That's not breaking news. That's been talked about for months. Come on. Now, Darnell Nurse, as we alluded to earlier in the show, he's skating. He has skated, but he is either going to be limited or not on the ice at all with the group to start. Because keep in mind, he's been skating. They're not doing physical stuff. So they're a little bit cautious with him. Now, could this become a bigger issue? That's always a possibility. And if it does, then it's probably a bigger concern. Then all of a sudden, people that all load Darnell Nurse, well, geez, I wouldn't mind him on the team. I just wish he was $1.5 million cheaper. Sure. Fair point. But contract is what it is. Probably got to move on from it. It's not going to change. You know, if you focus on the 9.25 number all the time, it'll go crazy. Right? But, how negative an issue is it? I don't know the answer to that. All I was told was a few weeks ago it was a possibility. And that's why I've been saying for the last month, a left defense on a PTO makes way more sense to me than a right defenseman. And Travis Dermott, lo and behold, was the lefty who's been signed. Now, who knows? Maybe the Oilers, right? Maybe they bring in someone else. Just because. We'll see. It might not be ideal, but I've told you that at least what I've been told is not serious to think everything should be good, but just precautionary was the word I'd received numerous times. Precautionary, which makes sense. It does. Now let's hear from the head coach Chris Knobloch. He was on the station earlier today with Kevin Karius, And you know what? Here's his thoughts on, the big difference for him as a head coach. He'll have a training camp. He'll have preseason, and how different that's going to be, maybe how much more beneficial than it was for when he came in last November.
Yeah, through this summer, you just kind of doing some work. You're planning on the season, what you're going to do. You look at some hockey and some video and look in the schedule, stuff like that. And it's kind of monotonous. You're not really excited to be doing that kind of stuff, and you're not chomping at the bit to get the season going. But I think big turning point is when the players start coming in, and that's usually right after Labor Day. They start coming in one by one, and then pretty much this last week, this Monday, the majority, if not like almost everyone's here. Once you see these players hitting the ice, and you can see the enthusiasm on their face, ready for the season start, then it rolls over to the coaching staff, and now we're starting to get really excited and get going. Yeah, through this summer, you just kind of doing some work. You're planning on the season.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Chris Knobloch on that. Now, the impact for Glenn Gulutzan and what he did, because of course Glenn Gulutzan was not new. It was Knobloch and Coffey, and they came in. Obviously, Mark Stewart, they gave him a lot of responsibility, specifically the penalty kill, and it worked. Both those guys, penalty kill for Stewart, power play for Gulutzan. And Knobloch just talked about the impact that Gulutzan had on him, a former head coach in the NHL himself.
Yes, Glenn, huge support for me. You're coming in mid-season, and I didn't know any of the coaching staff. I didn't know anybody at all except for Dustin Schwartz, the goaltender coach. Played with him at University of Alberta. Everybody else was new to me. I'm not even sure I had a conversation with anybody at any point. So not sure what their strengths were, what they were going to provide. I know coming in early in the year, things were hectic. They were busy, and I'm trying to get my feet underneath myself. I know I relied on Glenn a lot on what we were doing and what I was thinking and running things through him. And he helped me tremendously through those early months and through the year, but definitely got me through those that first while.
Now we get into some of the additions. Arvidsson, Skinner, and his thoughts on them, and maybe where we will see them start this season.
Yeah, it was funny how that worked out. It was a really busy time. It was something that I personally, I know the management definitely had been thinking about and preparing for it, but obviously they didn't bother me with it during the playoff run. After the season ended, went to the draft almost 24 hours later. And, after the draft, they were sitting together for a couple meetings about, what our team might look like next year, and having a list of players that we wanted to re-sign and also players that we wanted to bring in. And it was a wish list, and we're like, not sure that we could get all those things done. And on the first, just everything fell into place, and we're very fortunate to get, our third line of the playoffs, Janmark, Henry, Brown, those three guys signed back together as a unit, which we didn't think was ever going to be possible. And they were able to come back. And then adding Arvidsson and Skinner up front to give our top six a little more scoring, a little more experience and depth. We definitely wanted to add one to get two. Felt like it was a bit of a pipe dream, but we were able to do that. So, we're very fortunate to be able to pull off all those signings on the first.
Yeah, when you think back about it, obviously it was Henrique, and it was Brown, and it was Janmark, and then of course Arvidsson and Skinner, and Arvidsson has been skating all the time with Leon Draisaitl. That to me is not a surprise. And Jeff Skinner, though, I don't know if it's a lock yet, but I think they might try Skinner with both Draisaitl and McDavid at times just to see. But I think ultimately you might see Jeff Skinner gravitate towards Connor McDavid, and why not? Right? Like Connor McDavid generates the most chances, and Skinner is the best distance shooter on the team. Hyman is excellent as a net front presence. There's lots of reasons to think that line could be really good. Doesn't mean it will, but I would like to see it. Because you can always go back to Nugent Hopkins. Plus, Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl, they've always had pretty good chemistry. Knobloch discussed the PTO of Dermott, and what's he expecting from him?
Yeah, Coach Travis for about 3 years in Erie, and enjoyed my time with him. And as a good player, very dynamic. His strength would be his skating, being able to move the puck, and I have watched and followed his career a little bit, but haven't. That was we're looking about 8, almost 10 years ago that I was coaching him. So a player progresses and changes his game a little bit from when I was coaching him in junior, but we have an opportunity to try and add to our D core, and possibly that is an opportunity for him. But we'll see. I haven't seen him on the ice for a while, but I know he's coming in town early, and hopefully I get to see him and catch up with him. But I think training camp is going to be a exciting time for everybody. It is for most teams, but I think after the disappointment of losing Stanley Cup final and starting the season with big hopes again, everyone's ready to get going.
And they will get going on ice next Thursday. Medicals on Wednesday. Rookie medicals were today, and then they will head out to Penticton, and they will play Vancouver Friday night, 8:30 Edmonton time. Calgary Saturday night, 8:30 Edmonton time. And Monday afternoon at noon Edmonton time against the Winnipeg Jets. And that will be the Young Stars tournament in Penticton. And they'll come back. Meanwhile, the veterans, of course, will be skating a few days, and then they'll get right on the ice on Thursday. And the typical Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days of training camp, and then boom, they're right into the preseason next Sunday against the Winnipeg Jets. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire, where they have teamed up with Sports Central for the Central. That basically it's their bike drive. They're looking to get 1,000 bikes. So you have a used bike, maybe got one that just doesn't work. Well, don't worry. They have mechanics. They'll fix it. They're just looking for the donation. They got the people who can fix them. I already got, they're a quarter of the way there, which is great. 250 this Saturday and the following 2 Saturdays between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Go to sportscentral.org, find the location where you can drop it off. Also, some of the Fountain Tires, 158th Street, the Fountain Tire on 137th and Avenue and 67th Street, and the one in Atchison are some of the donation locations. Fountain Tire teaming up with Sports Central.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers making some hirings in the hockey operations department. Tobias Salmelainen will be on the player acquisition and development across the pond in year. Meanwhile, Andreas Carlson and Vincent Maltz joining the players development department. The Toronto Maple Leafs signing Max Spector to a PTO. The team also signed defenseman Yanni Hakanpää to a 1-year contract worth $1.47 million. So other PTOs, Utah Hockey Club bringing in Kyler Yamamoto, and the Colorado Avalanche inviting Pierre-Edouard Bellemare to training camp on a PTO as well. From the NFL, Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert will not play tomorrow night with the Bills in town. Devon Achane expected to be a game-time decision with an ankle injury. Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays losing at home to the New York Mets. 6-1, giving up 5 in the 9th inning. Elsewhere right now, Diamondbacks on top of the Rangers, 13-4. Later, the Rays take on the Phillies. Nationals host the Braves. Royals in New York taking on the Yankees. You got the Red Sox, Orioles, Reds, Cards, and Padres, Mariners in the WNBA. Fever Aces, Sky Mystics, and the Storm taking on the Sparks. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Chris Mabaka of USA Today to talk some NFL, and Scott McLaughlin from Odyssey and WEEI dropping by to talk some Boston Bruins and Jeremy Swayman. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Something just worked together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf.
your love for the game, and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Booster Juice has a secret. It's a secret menu of secret smoothies you can only see on the Booster Rewards app. Oh, wait. Guess it's not a secret anymore. Visit any Booster Juice and ask for the Go Mango, the Ocean's Tide, the Berry Bloom, the Raspberry Rapture, or the Strawberry Dip. Made with strawberries, chocolate almond beverage, bananas, and vanilla frozen yogurt. The secret's out. Tell anyone you want. Find the exclusive secret smoothie menu on the Booster Rewards app and sneak into a Booster Juice near you.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And when it comes to value, nothing beats an employee price. For a limited time, pay what Ford employees paid during the factory-authorized employee pricing event. You'll see real invoice pricing, and you know you'll get the best deal guaranteed. It's Ford employee pricing on for a limited time where cars always cost less. Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Cars cost less in Wetaskiwin.
Just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley on Sports 1440. Yeah, tough day again for young Bowden Francis. Second time in the last, 5 weeks. Takes a no-hitter into the 9th inning, and then unfortunately for him, gives up a home run and kind of puts a damper on another just outstanding performance for a young pitcher. Only the second Blue Jay in history to have multiple no-hitters going into the 9th inning, but alas, could not get it. And if, you give up a single, that's one thing, but you give up a home run twice, it probably, I've never been in that position, of course, but I'm guessing might sting just a little bit more. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you're having an awesome day. And now let's talk a little NFL. Chris Boombaka from USA Today joins us. Chris, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Jason, what's up, man? Thanks so much for having me on. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. It's week 1 of the NFL, which means for some it's a massive overreaction. Oh my God, our team's terrible. They're going to be brutal. Which team that's playoff aspirations that lost are you least concerned about? And then conversely, which one showed you where you're like, oh, well, maybe I'm a little concerned?
I think the biggest concern for me personally, because I picked them to be in the Super Bowl for the second straight year, perhaps unwisely, is the Cincinnati Bengals, right? I know that Gerard Mayo's got a nice game plan for his defense over there. It's why he succeeded Bill Belichick as head coach, but that passing attack just looked brutal. And without T. Higgins, Jamar Chase off of the contract negotiations and then eventual extension and the mysterious illness, I don't like what they have in the running game. Watching Joe Mixon going off was not ideal, right, for the Texans with Cincinnati letting him walk this offseason. So I'm going to put the Bengals in the biggest, category after week 1. But again, like you said, it's week 1.
Yeah. You can't go too crazy about it. The San Francisco 49ers, when you consider what they did at their running attack without Christian McCaffrey, and when you consider that McCaffrey, how many carries he had last year, if I'm them, I might just comfortably sit this guy down as long as I possibly can. Now I know not to the extent where, but there's zero reason to rush this guy back if you're the 49ers, because you need McCaffrey in January and February much more than you need him in September.
Oh, yeah, and what a luxury for Kyle Shanahan, right? You're kind of alluding to it at the beginning there of your setup, but the biggest thing for me is, and look, Jordan Mason had a nice game, and he was definitely getting yards after contact and stuff, but go back and look at the film. He has a ton of space to run. I know that the Niners offensive line gets a lot of credit with Trent Williams on the left side, but that was just a complete effort, man. And obviously a tight end like a George Kittle who can be an asset in the blocking game too is such a benefit to a guy like Kyle who has that sort of offensive mind where the run game is so integral to it all. But yeah, again, a tremendous luxury. Congrats to the Mason kid on having a great game, but I think it was the offensive line was a real credit and a little bit worrisome for the Jets D up front, I would say.
Yeah, well, and then you throw in a few injuries, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, geez. Well, at least Aaron Rodgers got through. I guess that's the positive sign for the Jets. I want to ask you, play action pass. I know if you want to have success in the NFL, it works. The New Orleans Saints, I get that it was against Carolina, but man, I think they had like 78% of their plays were per play action. What do you make of Derek Carr? When that guy has time, his numbers are killer. I think he's like top 5 in QB rating when he isn't pressured. Is it just because they beat up on the weakest team in the league, or is there something in New Orleans that make you say, hey, Derek Carr might be a guy to watch for?
I'm more inclined to say it's the former, only because I'm just not the biggest overall Derek Carr guy, especially at this point in his career. It's not to take anything away from him. Above league replacement quarterback for more than a decade in this league now. We're close to it at least. So that's a heck of a career right there, and nothing to scoff at in the least. But one of my bold predictions heading into the season was that Spencer Rattler, the rookie, would ultimately unseat Carr at some point. The boldness of that was that it would come earlier in the season. Obviously, week 1, that doesn't look like it's going to happen at all. But we'll throw out the popular refrain that we keep repeating here is it's week 1. We don't know, So, the Panthers have a ton of issues. Again, going back to my preseason predictions, I know I keep bringing them up, but they were my surprise division winner, and immediate regret. Don't feel so great about that. And with Carolina, it's top down, right? Ownership. And that's all you need to say about that.
Well, ownership, a lot of people, I remember there's lots of people who thought CJ Stroud would be the best quarterback and they wouldn't have taken Bryce Young. And then obviously they took Bryce Young at number 1, and we've seen what's happened in that time. We've also seen over the last few years, lots of guys who are high drafted quarterbacks who didn't have instant success. And I love what Warren Moon on our show said, there's lots of good quarterbacks. There's very few teams who develop them and have the patience to allow them to develop properly. He's pretty strong minded on that. And when you see, now Baker Mayfield had some success early on, but not right away, and definitely not like he's doing in Tampa Bay. And I know it's only one game, but even Ryan Tannehill, although I still don't trust Tannehill in the big game, but he had some better numbers later in his career. And Darnold, had the best start of any game of his life when it comes to consecutive completions. Mm-hmm. And he does have Jefferson. And, I look and say, hey, could Sam Darnold maybe be that quarterback who some people wanted to put on the rotting pile maybe a bit too early?
You know what? I kind of wrote about this during Super Bowl week, believe it or not, because if you remember, he was the 49ers backup last year behind Brock Purdy. And so I talked to him a bunch. I talked to 49ers quarterbacks coach Brian Griese a little bit, the former ESPN commentator. So he was pretty eloquent and honest about all of this. And he said that, look, the Jets Adam Gase situation that Sam was drafted into, that was pretty unstable and pretty unhealthy for a 21-year-old kid from the opposite coast who had never played in the NFL before, right? And then, throw in all the other things that happened to him early in his career, the seeing ghosts, the mono, everything. Yeah. But what Griese really stressed to me was that stability would be so key to to Sam and his next steps. And he sought that for where he needed to get to after the Jets Carolina beginning of his career. He found that in San Francisco, and he was able to parlay that into a better role, honestly, with the Vikings, where, it was they're going to draft a rookie quarterback. So who knows if he plays right away. Obviously, it looked like they were ready to go to McCarthy, but now Sam has a full season to prove his worth once again. And like you said, playing for Kevin O'Connell, who we know can do, coach the heck out of that position. Look at what he did last year with Nick Mullins, for example, and just what he's done with elevating Kirk Cousins before the injury last season. So I think that Sam's in a perfect spot for him right now. A few weapons that are great, a decent line actually for once in his career, or I guess not counting San Francisco. So could be a nice year for Sam. I don't think he'll be the star that the MVP candidate that a top 5 quarterback is kind of expected to be, but it might not be the end for him just yet.
Yeah, just be competent, no question. The Miami Dolphins, they got some injuries already in the running back game. They did have a pretty big come from behind win, down 14-0 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then there's the off-field stuff with Tyreek Hill. What do you make of the Thursday nighter?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great preview of what has become the AFC East rivalry to kind of monitor over the last few years. So, going back to that, what was it, Week 17, Week 18 game, which decided the 2-7 seeding in the AFC last year. So I was reading today about how Miami players are really getting up for this one. I was on a call earlier with the Amazon Thursday Night Football studio team, and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andrew Whitworth both mentioned how big it is for the Dolphins to win this division so they can get a home playoff game and they can snap the 21 season streak of not having won a postseason game, which is now the longest in the NFL, I believe. So all these games are going to be important for the Dolphins. All of these divisional games are going to carry even extra weight. So coming off a short emotional week, I'm really interested to see how they come out and respond. I'm interested to see how Jalen Waddle steps up in a spot that I think that the Dolphins will really need him. So what is Mike McDaniel going to draw up to get his receivers going? How is Tyreek Hill going to handle everything that's happened over the last 4 days? And what's this defense going to do to slow down Josh Allen?
Yeah, easier said than done. Chris, great stuff, man. We really appreciate it. Sliding us in on a busy day. Thanks for this. Enjoy the games.
Hey, thanks so much. Talk soon. Have a good one.
That's Chris Mumbaka from USA Today. Great job covering around the NFL. And you know what? There's no shortage of storylines there from lots of different teams. You look at the Bengals. Their offense was putrid. T. Higgins wasn't practicing today, so no, it's Wednesday. So we'll see. What does that mean for him? They're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who looked very good. They're a little bit more rested than the Bengals. The Bengals look extremely rusty. Now you can go 0-2 and it's not the end of the world, but you go 0-2 and the Chiefs are 2-0. It kind of almost early on really put yourself in a deep hole of not having to go to Kansas City, which I know they won there once, but get it in the playoffs. But in an ideal world, that's not where you want to go come postseason time. So it's a pretty big game, even only being week 2 when it comes to the Bengals. I don't think it means they can't recover and make the playoffs. I just think it means they might not be able to recover and finish higher as a seed than the Kansas City Chiefs. When we come back, controversy. How close are they? And how much of a concern is it when your starting goaltender has still not signed? Now, he was in Boston skating, so people are like, oh, that must mean it's good, but that's happened before. We'll go to Boston next. Find out what is up with Jeremy Swayman. Also, Lindholm and others. They lost Jake DeBrusk. That's an organization that's lost some good players the last year. Doesn't ever seem to really dissuade them. But what about this year? We'll find out next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, and orders YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Rule number 37. Oak Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules, and if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Other heroes hiding in plain sight. GS Construction. But who are these supermen and women in hard hats? They're the ones with the power to offer services such as infrastructure rehabilitation, water and drainage solutions, land development, general contracting, and more. And when they're finished doing what they do best, everything is covered and invisible to everyone's eye. So don't look for them in the sky. They're out on the roads and in your neighborhoods. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Halley, how are you? Wednesday afternoon. It's hard not to be excited as a sports fan right now. There's just like it's overload. During commercial breaks, looking up different things. There's always sorts of different storylines on what is going on around the world of sports, which is great. It's an easy time if you're a sports radio host to find stories because there are so many. NFL, obviously NHL older fans are just kind of getting a little itchy. Many of you will probably be streaming the games this weekend. Even though realistically, I don't think there's, for the first time in a really long time, there's no one on that rookie team. Like now, I shouldn't say no one. I guess Manny Savoy has a chance. But other than him, I don't see anybody on that team who has a chance to make the team out of training camp. And I think his chances is low. It's not impossible, but it's low because the Oilers' top 6 spots are filled. Today, they're filled. Now, maybe somebody gets hurt. Well, that changes everything. But today, Skinner, Arvidsson, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, lock it in. Those are your 6 forwards. Then you got Henrique and Brown and Janmark. I don't see, like, Manny Savoy's got to play a lot of minutes. And he's got to get some power play time. That's why I think he's pretty much destined to start the season. He's only 20 years of age. There's nothing wrong with playing as a 20-year-old in the American League. Now, let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, and the Big Arch is here. Stop in and try to, you know what? Any place in the city, any McDonald's is great, but the newly renovated Coronation location, 149th Street, 111th Avenue. It's all fresh. Get in there, try it out, and get the Big Arch. It is so good. Connor Halley rated it the best McDonald's burger he's ever had. And I would tend to agree. Only at McDonald's. Scott McLaughlin, Bruins reporter with Audacy Sports, joins us. And Scott, it's a week away now for medicals. I know that Jeremy Swayman's been in Boston, but is the angst creeping in a little bit to Bruins Nation as him and the Bruins still have a stalemate on a contract negotiation?
Yeah, it certainly is among fans. Boston fans are not patient by nature. So you can imagine that they're not very patient about this either. A lot of why hasn't it been done? What are they doing? Why aren't they talking? Why isn't it finished? You know, when's it going to get done? I don't think there's as much concern actually on the two sides. I think both the Bruins and Jeremy Swayman expect that this is going to get done. Now, whether that's in this next week before camp starts or sometime early in camp, obviously there is work to do. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen all the same reports as the rest of us about how far apart they are in terms of the money. But I think that gap can be bridged pretty quickly once they actually get down to business and, you know, really get serious about hammering this out. I think it's been kind of a summer-long staring contest to this point where there really hasn't been any movement and at times probably not even a whole lot of talk. But obviously that is going to ramp up here very quickly if it hasn't already.
So you look at Allmark and Swayman. Maybe it's too early, but did it make sense why they went with Swayman over Allmark for you on pretty much every level? Other than, you know, the cap hit's probably going to be higher for Swayman?
Yeah, I think it did because he's younger. You know, you're locking him up through his prime years on this contract, no matter how long it is. Allmark was towards the back end of his prime, and Swayman ran with the job in the playoffs. Right. You know, they did intend to split time a little bit more going into the playoffs, and by the time Swayman had gotten 2 starts, it was pretty clear that they couldn't keep going to Allmark. Like, and not even through any fault of Allmark's. He played well his 1 start, but Swayman was just outstanding. He was, through 2 rounds, the best goalie in the playoffs. And that was something that Linus Allmark had not done. The previous 2 years, he got the game 1 start for the Bruins both years, and by the end of the first round was no longer the starter.
Well, that obviously shows then that maybe they feel that Swayman is their guy. When you look at him stylistically, do you see anything that separates Swayman from Allmark as to why maybe he was the guy who seemed to be better suited? Maybe it's just for the playoffs or maybe just overall.
Well, yeah, stylistically, like they are a little different. I think Swayman, and he's gotten better about this, but he relies more on his athleticism. And sometimes, you know, especially when he was younger, could be out of position, could give up bad rebounds, but often had the athleticism to recover. He's definitely gotten better positionally, working with Bruins goalie coach Bob Essenza. Whereas Linus Allmark, I think, had a little bit more of that you especially see it in a lot of European goalies, just very structurally sound. Doesn't look like he has to make great saves because he's just always there to begin with. So they are a little different that way, but I don't think. I think maybe the biggest difference is just the confidence and attitude that Jeremy Swayman exudes. If you talk to him, he is just a very confident kid. He knows he's really good, and he expects himself to be one of the best goalies in the world for years to come. And I think guys in the locker room feel that, and he just brings this attitude of, he's going to compete the same way as a Brad Marchand or a Charlie McAvoy. Whereas sometimes you don't always see that from goalies. Like Linus Ullmark is probably, not to say he's not competitive. He is, obviously. Like the guy won the Triple Crown 2 years ago. But, just his attitude was like a little bit more laid back, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, easy come, easy go. Hey, had to, let in a tough one. I'll just move on. Whereas, like, Swain will get mad, and there'll be an energy that kind of comes along with it.
And for some teams, they feed off of that. When you look at Korpisalo here, let's say Swayman does get signed and everything's ready to start the season. Is Swayman up to, is he 57 to 60 games this season?
I think it's probably a little less than that. I've been thinking in my mind, like 52 to 55. He played 44 games last year, 43 starts. That was a career high. I think if you add 10 to that, that's probably in the right range.
Okay.
I don't think you want to make that jump too, all at once, right? Like if you're going to sign him to a big money long-term contract, yeah, obviously the goal is eventually he's going to be a 60-start guy. But do you want to jump from 43 to 60? I think there might be one more year of ramp up before he really gets there.
Talking Boston Bruins here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook with Scott McLaughlin. Scott, well, we'll move to some of the other positions. Of course, the free agent signing, the big one, Elias Lindholm comes in, signs that for 7.75. They also, brought in Max Jones, and Kasla comes over in the trade. You throw in Zadorov on the back end. I guess let's talk about the Vancouver free agents coming over. And Lindholm is it like Captain Obvious? He's the number one center, but is he for sure lock in to play with Pasternak in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. At least to start, I think they really want to see how that looks. Last year, Pavel Zacha and David Pasternak have good chemistry, fellow Czechs. They've been on each other's line for the better part of 2 years. But last year, Pavel Zacha switched to full-time center for the first time and mostly held up well until late in the season and into the playoffs when he wasn't quite getting the job done at both ends of the ice. He really struggled with Alexander Barkov against the Panthers. And I think that was kind of, sort of told the Bruins, we need something a little bit more there. Someone who's a little better at both ends, who's done it before, who's going to win more key faceoffs. And so that's where you see Elias Lindholm comes in. I think all along that plan was he's going to be a little bit better in that spot and hold up better when it matters the most. And now they probably bump Zacha back over to wing and keep him on that line with Lindholm and Pasternak, I think is probably how they start.
Okay. Down the depth chart, they got a lot of forwards right now. There should be some heavy competition, Portis and Beecher and Kastelik and Brown and Vinny Lettieri, Justin Brazo, a mammoth of a man. What do you make of their bottom six and how competitive it's going to be?
Yeah, I think it's a real strength of this team. Bruins have always had really good depth, but this is now depth with a purpose, and that purpose is to be big, mean, forecheck hard, which is something that they've been striving for more and more these last couple of years, realizing that they need in the playoffs. And they're hoping that with guys, like you mentioned, Kastelik and Max Jones coming in, probably on that fourth line to start, maybe they, get an opportunity if they flash some more offense. Justin Brazeau was really good in a small sample size last year when he came up. So all of a sudden, you're looking at a really big bottom six that can play physical, that can forecheck, that should be able to hold on to some pucks. A couple good face-off guys down there with Kastelik, Johnny Beecher, who was a rookie last year, is really good on face-offs. So, then on the third line, Morgan Geekie, Trent Frederick, again, two bigger guys with a little bit of offense. And, Matt Poitras kind of stands out as the odd man out if he ends up on the third line there, as, he's under 6 feet, but when you're surrounded by all the trees, he should have some protection down there.
Looking at that division, the Bruins in the last 6 years, no team or 7 years has had more 100-point seasons than them. They've had 6. Toronto's had 5. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay's won 2 cups, been to another one. Florida's won a cup and been to another one. Like, it's murderer's row in that division. And to me, that's why I look at the importance of Swayman being ready to start the regular season, because if all of a sudden he gives up he's not ready and he's not playing early and they lose a few games, that might be the difference in home ice advantage. Not necessarily making the playoffs, but home ice advantage in an ultra difficult top end of that division. And then you always wonder, is this the year Buffalo finally makes it a step, or Ottawa makes a step, or Detroit? Because I'm sure, Scott, every year people have thought, because I know I've done it a few times. I was like, Boston's going to take a step back this year. And then they never do. So is there any pressure on the Bruins to kind of live up to that and in that ultra tough division?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it's possibly the toughest division in hockey. And, for the Bruins, the real pressure is getting past the Florida Panthers, who have now ended their season 2 springs in a row and gone on to win the conference. And I think that's why we talk about these moves to get bigger and more physical. It's almost all with that series in mind of like, how are we finally going to get past the Florida Panthers, this team that's kind of beat them up, and knocked them out, that they really haven't had an answer for. They're trying to build a team that's going to beat them. And obviously, they beat Toronto last year, but that goes 7. So you can't look past them at all. Tampa with a lot of turnover, but they're going to be there again. So, it's a really tough division. And I do think there's pressure on the Bruins, because I think expectations locally are actually probably higher than they are nationally. Like, I see the Bruins coming in, 10th, 8th, 9th in power rankings. And I think people in Boston are really looking for this team to take the next step and get to conference finals or Stanley Cup finals. So, that puts you into the Final Four. So we're not talking about, people are going to be happy here with a top 10 team. They want to see a top 4 or 5 team in the league.
One last one. What about the Bruins first round pick in 2021, Fabian Lysell? He's had, he had 50 points last year in 56 games as a rookie. He's had 2 full seasons in the American League and pretty good numbers down in Providence. What are the odds of this guy getting some time, or is it just they got a deep roster, so he's likely destined for another season in the AHL?
No, there was a wide open spot waiting for him at second line right wing. Is going to be the most interesting battle in camp for the Bruins. You can pencil in Brad Marchand and Charlie Coyle on that second line, and then who's going to be on their right is completely open for someone to win that job. And they are going to give Fabian Lysell every opportunity to do that, and it's going to be on him to take advantage. He, as he said, has 2 pro seasons under his belt now with good AHL numbers, good growth in his all-around game, has not yet played in the NHL. So here's his opportunity. Let's see if he can win it out of camp, or at least show them that he's, even if he doesn't win it right away, that he's ready to push. He can, go down to Providence for a month and then force his way up, or whatever it might be. But there's definitely a chance there, because the Bruins are, as much as I praise their depth, which they absolutely have, they are a scoring wing short, I think, especially in that middle 6. So they're going to look for guys who can bring some offense. And if he lives up to his potential, he's definitely a guy who can.
Outside of him, who do you see in that running for the second line right wing?
Well, they can try to elevate from the current roster with someone like Trent Frederick or Morgan Geekie, both of whom had career highs in points last year, both of whom moved up into the top 6 at times in a pinch. See, they're going to give them a look to see if they've continued to grow their game and if there's even more offense to be had from either of them. I could see one or both getting a look there. Matt Poitras has played almost entirely center in the NHL when he was up last year, but they did take a little bit of a look at him on right wing, so he could be an option if they decide to move him over. That would also, lessen some of his workload as being a wing versus a center. So those are a couple other options. And then, Georgi Merkulov is another interesting prospect who's had 2 full years down in Providence. He's a couple years older than Lysell. They signed him as a free agent out of Ohio State, out of NCAA. But he's been Providence's leading scorer the last 2 years and got called up for a couple games last year, but didn't really get a great look. But I think he's someone that they're gonna give a long look at in training camp to see if he's ready to stick in the NHL.
Well, look, that's for all of our fantasy players. That's a name to watch for in Lysell. Scotty, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. For fun, give me your prediction on term and AAV for Swayman.
I'm going to say 8 years, $8.25 million a year.
8.25 for 8 year. It's fascinating how the goalie position's the one position where you're not getting raises over the recent highest paid guy, right? Defense is going up, forwards are going up, goalies are actually going down from Price and then Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky, the 9.5s and 10.5s. But I guess the starting goalies aren't playing as much either, so that maybe is a factor. But it is interesting, and I'm sure the union doesn't like it. But 8.25, I could see it. Scotty, thanks for this, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There you go. That's Scott McLaughlin joining us from Boston. So all of those who are looking for maybe a late round, not like a mid-round guy, watch Fabian Lysell, Lysell, who was the 21st overall pick in the 2021 draft, spent the last 2 years in the AHL, had 50 points in 56 games, solid. Not huge goal-scoring numbers with 14 and 15. But sounds like he could find himself on a line with Coyle and Marchand. We'll see. Quick break. We'll come back. We have 5 questions. We got Spec coming up later. Also, we'll go to Utah. We haven't been to Utah really since they announced they were going there. But Kyler Yamamoto earlier today signed a PTO in Utah. They've made some big changes, Sergachev and others. So we'll talk about Utah as well. More of a Chris Knobloch's conversation with Kevin Karras earlier today. We'll reset the Nurse and Kane situation and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with a tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Booster Juice has a secret. It's a secret menu of secret smoothies you can only see on the Booster Rewards app. Oh, wait. Guess it's not a secret anymore. Visit any Booster Juice and ask for the strawberry dip, the berry bloom, the go mango, the raspberry rapture, or the ocean's tide. Made with blueberries, passion fruit, guava, and vanilla frozen yogurt. The secret's out. Tell anyone you want. Find the exclusive secret smoothie menu on the Booster Rewards app and sneak into a Booster Juice near you.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2024 Silverado 1500 RST. Explore downtown hotspots with standard Chevrolet safety assist, including automatic emergency braking and HD surround vision camera. Or take on the great outdoors with an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine and available in-vehicle trailering app. Oh, look, a cute chipmunk. Not so cute. Not so cute. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these fine folks from the swift completion of their appointed work, or something like that. They're the fine folks at GS Construction, and they do like to do their job, which could be infrastructure rehabilitation, water and drainage solutions, land development, general contracting, and dedicated maintenance and emergency repairs. Interested in working for such a fine outfit? GS Construction is always on the lookout for great workers. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Wednesday afternoon. How are you doing? Welcome back to the show. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, live on Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X, Instagram, streaming it on the app. We got Bob. Hey, boys, I have to say, I just downloaded the app. I drive all over the place. Absolutely loving it. Crystal clear. Thanks for the tip. Hey, no problem, man. Happy to have you on board. Can listen anywhere, all around the city, surrounding area, the province, the country. It's unreal. So you can download the app, and it is crystal clear anywhere. I love it. It's awesome. Gregor, Halley, with you. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where their tent sale, it's the final week. Get in now. Up to 60% off. Savings on furniture and kitchen appliances. Also, how about 50% off all mattresses? Right now in the tent sale at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. Travis Dermott with the PTO with the Oilers. He's got some familiarity with parts of the coaching staff. What do you think is the result once training camp wraps up?
That's a good question. I could possibly, a lot of it, I'll say this, it'll depend on, the status of Nurse. That's probably the big deal. I think, and how he plays, obviously. But if he plays well, then maybe he can get it 2-way. But where does he fit in, to be honest? Right? Like, they've got 7 defensemen now. Now, he's a lefty, so that's different. But, would they say, hey, we like you, we'll try to squeeze you through waivers? Right now, I shouldn't say squeeze you because, lots of teams could have signed him and they never did. So he probably could be a guy that you could slide down on waivers.
That's kind of where I go as well. Left side's very strong for the Edmonton Oilers. Like you said, unless Darnell Nurse does have that injury that lingers a little bit longer, I will say 2-way contract offer for Dermott if it's from the Oilers. Question number 2. So we've seen the PTOs around the NHL. Outside of Edmonton, who do you like to make the opening night roster for their respective teams?
Ooh, good question. Tyson Barrie, Calgary Flames.
Yeah, I would go with that one as well. I think Pacioretty hangs around Toronto as well. And I think he can produce. So
that's fair.
I think Pacioretty will be one in Toronto. I'm hoping for Kyler Yamamoto. I guess we'll talk in the 5 o'clock hour and see how realistic that one is. Question number 3. You mentioned it a few times in the last few days here, that AL race for the MVP, very tight. Maybe not so much in the NL, but as we sit right now, who is your AL MVP? And for fun, we'll just throw in the NL as well.
Well, Shohei Ohtani in the NL, that one's kind of obvious. The AL, man, that's why I crunch those numbers on Judge and Witt, and it is close. There's lots of reasons to look at it. I'd broken it down and I went through all the offensive categories now. So the offense is actually pretty close. But then I look at defense. He plays shortstop, right? He's got way more fielding opportunities. Plays a more important position. And then you throw in Juan Soto, who might be third, and he's also a Yankee. I might be leaning towards Bobby Witt, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm kind of with you there. Like, you just look at the rest of the Royals roster, and when it comes to runs, I mean, he's doing it all. At bats, he's right up there. RBIs, he's actually second on his team in RBIs. But if I was betting and I wanted to win and it was all even, it'd be Aaron Judge. But my heart cannot go with the New York Yankee. Nobody in pinstripe, so I'm going to go Bobby Witt as well. Would be my pick, although unfortunately, I think I know where it will go. Question number 4 for you. It is the bye week for the Elks, but if we were to do CFL power rankings right now, where would you have them?
Well, Montreal's 1. I'd probably have them 5th. I'd probably have them 5th. Montreal. I still think BC, BC's got Nathan Rourke and they got him back. And then you throw in Winnipeg. Ottawa's been very good. So I'll say 5th, but they could easily be 3rd pretty quick or 2nd. We'll get a real good test. Calgary's not good. So I want to see what they do against Winnipeg. They win that game at home. That's big. Now, if they win the game in Winnipeg, that's massive. But, I will take a split. I've said it all along. If they can get a split, they should be pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go quite a bit higher, actually. I'll have them at, 2nd or 3rd right now. They could have easily beat Montreal, both of those games. But they didn't, which is fair. Going through some growing pains. The first game, Walter Fletcher, if they contain him at the end of each half, they find a way to get the win. And in the second matchup on the road, tougher environment. If they hit a field goal, they have a chance. So I'm going to have them at 3rd right now. Just the way they're playing. They're so hot. I'm sure they'd rather be playing this weekend. Not that you never ever want to say no to a bye, but I'm sure they would rather keep this streak going. But I'll have them at 3rd. And my final question for you today is, we saw officially Happy Gilmore 2 has begun shooting. Are you a fan of the original? And if you could have a sports movie sequel, which would you like to see continue on the franchise?
I did love the original Happy Gilmore. My concern is how long it's been between the movies. So what's the angle of this one? Right? Shooter McGavin coming back?
Yeah.
But are they on the seniors tour now?
I don't know.
Right? That's what I mean. If they're on the seniors tour, I would like the storyline. Right? Maybe what happened? Maybe Happy did something really dumb and, or whatever, and he fell in love and he had to be away from it for a while. Fine. But if, or whatever tour they're on, if it's not the senior one, I'll be like, come on. Obviously I know it's facetious storyline and get it, but part of me is like, hey, I know it's comedy. I know it's fake, but I still want it to be okay, it's plausible. So that I did love the first one. So I'm curious to see what angle and what direction they will go.
Yeah, I was a huge fan, man. Adam Sandler had a heck of a run. Those late 90s movies with The Waterboy and Billy Madison. So I was a big fan of Adam Sandler and those movies. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking this one out. I'm curious to see what the premise is. If I had to go for a movie for a sequel, some of the best sports movies are so serious. So it's hard to go with a sequel to those. But I'm going to say Little Giants. If I had to do a sequel, the kids playing football for the Giants and going up against the really tough team. Little Giants 2 might be one. And you know what? They might just be called the Big Giants, Gregor, because there's some similarities between those two teams.
All right.
Have you seen it?
No.
No, it was probably a kid's movie when you were growing up. Yeah, they're just a a group of misfits playing football and obviously come together to take on the Cowboys in town. Right now, the Giants are struggling.
Was there a kid with glasses on there that was kind of nerdy?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, maybe I did see that. Okay.
Rick Moranis was the coach. Might have been one of the final movies he did, actually.
You know what? What was it called again?
Little Giants.
Little Giants. You know what? Maybe I've seen part of it now that sounds familiar, right? Like now, wasn't Rick's brother like an overzealous football coach in the movie? Is that what it was?
Well, Ed O'Neill was.
Yeah. Well, brother or friend or somebody was like way too serious for Pop Warner football. Is
like
that what
his brother in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is Ed O'Neill, who's awesome.
Okay.
Icebox was the little linebacker. Good movie. But again, came out in 94, so it was right in my wheelhouse.
Oh, well, yeah. I was not in my wheelhouse at that time, but I think I've seen part of it. Rick Moranis, the kid movie I remember with Rick Moranis was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. Classic movie.
Oh, God. It's a hilarious premise when you think about it. Now, speaking of show, have you watched a show? We haven't talked about any shows because we've been so busy with sports this summer. But have you got into any shows lately on Netflix or anything? Watching any?
It's in a tough spot for us right now. Not really.
Well, I'll tell you one. If
you have one, I'm taking it.
There's 4 episodes. I've watched 2. And they're not connected. It's a different story every time. It's called Worst Ex Ever. And dude, like there are some people who they go off the deep end, dude.
Like these are true stories?
Yes, these are true stories. Yeah, no, this is like a document. No, it's a true story. So I love, you know me, I love true stories.
Yeah.
If you've been on the receiving end in a bad relationship, maybe it'd be too tough for you to watch it, but you might want to. And if you're in any sort of a relationship that's had some red flags, definitely watch it. Maybe not with your partner, but I would watch it for you to be like, okay, I gotta get out. Because you watch it and you see, and now it's easy in hindsight, like, well, why'd you stay around? And I get that. Like people, well, you know, they don't want to give up on it. Maybe sometimes they don't think they can get better, yada, yada. But I'm telling you, that show is a little bonkers. So now I watched the first one and then I watched the third one because the shows aren't, I just was, I was reading through the 4 and I'm like, okay, we'll watch first one. And I'm like, oh, let's see this one. So there is 4. My brother, who doesn't watch hardly any shows, was the one who recommended it to me. And it's actually quite good. So Worst Ex Ever. Cons. If you're in a happy relationship, it's also good to watch this because you can say, you know what, hey, made a pretty good choice here. If she's like, I don't like how you leave your socks out. I'm like, hey, you know what? There could always be worse. You should be very excited that the worst thing that happens in our relationship is, you know what? Maybe you leave your socks hanging around, or maybe I don't know, you don't put the lid on the toothpaste, or God forbid you put the toilet paper on backwards. That really seems to fire up some people. Get some people really fired up. So. But check it out, Worst Ex Ever. And if there's any other new shows out there, Conman and I are always looking for a show. I'd be curious to hear any recommendations.
2 people like at the exact same time said Bad Monkey is a good one with Vince Vaughn.
Bad Monkey? What's that about? It's not about a monkey, is it? So it's like a comedy series? Okay. I actually, Vince Vaughn, man, I think he's pretty funny in comedy, so I'll take it. All right, Michelle Monaghan's in it. Ooh. Okay.
We're 2 episodes into the Simone Biles show.
No, yeah.
I don't know if you saw that one. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, my wife watched it without me, so she gave me the Coles notes, which is good.
Yeah.
So
seems good so far.
Hey, Gregor, The Worst Roommate Ever is where it all started. Great show. Oh, so there was Worst Roommate Ever? I can imagine that show. Oh my God. Just some, like, it's unfathomable. Like if you're raised a certain way, right? Like maybe you're kind of clean, to live with a roommate who isn't clean, it can drive you batty. I get it. I could totally understand that. So yeah. And there's some other things that are just, Like everybody, some people have weird things and then they get comfortable in their own home and you're just like, what? We'll see. Big shout out to Dave, who's watching from Cedar Hills, Texas on the old Facebook page. Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate it. Looking for some hockey talk. I love it. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Spec. We'll talk Kane. We'll talk Nurse. We'll talk some other contracts here. We're a week away. A few teams that are maybe getting a little nervous. Oiler fans, probably not nervous, but there is a reason to be cautious. We'll tell you about it after a Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Check out Booster Juice Secret Smoothie menu on the Boosters Reward app. Smoothies too delicious to keep under wraps. Download the Boosters Reward app today to see the secret menu.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making some moves with the hockey operations department, adding Tobias Salmelainen as the new player acquisition and development coach in Europe. Also, Andreas Karlsson and Vincent Malt as player development coaches. The Toronto Maple Leafs signing Max Spector to a PTO today, also bringing in defenseman Yanni Hakanpää to a one-year contract with $1.47 million. Some other PTOs, Utah Hockey Club signing Kyler Yamamoto, while the Colorado Avalanche bringing in Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. From the NFL, the Miami Dolphins announcing that Raheem Mostert will not play tomorrow when they take on the Buffalo Bills. Also, Devon Achane will be a game-time decision with an ankle injury. In the majors, it was a great day for Bowden Francis, taking a no-hitter into the ninth, where he gave up a one-run home run to Francisco Lindor. Wheels fell off after he left. Mets beating up on the Jays 6-2. Elsewhere, Diamondbacks over the Rangers 14-4. White Sox losing to the Guardians 6-4. It was the Pirates over the Marlins 3-1. Right now, you got the Tigers leading the Rockies 6-0. They're just going into the second. Also in the second, Phillies up on the Rays 2-0. And the Braves and Nationals currently scoreless in the second. WNBA tonight, Aces taking on the Fever. The Sky host the Mystics. And the Storm head to LA to take on the Sparks. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and the voice of the Utah Hockey Club, Matt McConnell. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
And beautiful. There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Rule number 62. Never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg, worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax at participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hi, Larry Ricci from Vision RV, reminding you that now's the time to start thinking winterization. The cold stuff is on the way, so be proactive and protect your investment with Vision RV's thorough and affordable winterizing packages. You'll be all set for the off-season with help from our amazing service team. So kick back and relax in our comfy customer lounge while we get to work, or stroll around and see what's new. We look forward to seeing you here at Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing me, Dr. Vance Elliott, for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Yeah, I'm thinking half of those days when everyone's on the case from your teacher, always has no best girlfriend. Well, you know, I used to have this bad all the time, but I found a way to get out.
Fitting song today by the con man, our next guest. I think back when he was in high school, they were allowed smoking in the school. It's been so long ago. Who knows, but that might be the case. I'll put a line on that. PlayAlberta.ca. We'll see. Get in at Lotto 649 tonight. Also, a record $75 million draw this coming Friday for Lotto Max. Ooh, it's the highest ever. Lotto Max. Good luck. An extra $5 million for one of you. Big celebration. Not bad. Just remember the rules of our station. If any of you win it, you throw a party and invite us. That's the rule. If we have one, we'll have a big party. Guaranteed. Okay? It's like everybody shares. It'd be fun. Let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They just had a big party this last summer celebrating 50 years. Amazing accomplishment. And they just keep growing, expanding. Well-run company that's looking for good employees. That's you. Lots of different jobs available. From top women, foreman, to just beginners. Just trying to get an entry-level gig. Great company with great benefits. Go to GS Construction. Check it out at Indeed.com. As Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Hell, Spec, they were smoking in the dressing room when you were covering the team, so I'm pretty sure they were smoking in the in high school that you were at.
Oh, yeah, I went to Shep and JP, two big schools, so they both had plenty of smoking areas for those who smoked. It was absolutely okay to smoke cigarettes and as many as you wanted when you were in grade 10, pal. Can you imagine? How weird is that, eh?
It is. Well, you think about it. If you used to smoke in airplanes, for God's sakes, like the smoke wouldn't go in. I just could not. Somebody out there had. I was never on a plane like that. I'm not that old, but I just couldn't. I can't stand. I remember in the backseat of the car, and my parents smoked when I was a kid. At least they rolled the window down, but still, you're just like, this is the worst. I couldn't imagine what it would be like an airplane. Right. Or remember when they had like the no smoking section in the restaurant? And of course it didn't have that great ventilation. Like, oh, here's the no smoking section, like 3 feet away from the smoking section.
Everybody smoked. Like my mom smoked Craven E my whole life. And when my parents had a big party, part of my, I'd make $5 or whatever, cruising around the party and changing out the ashtrays, because there was when you had a party in those days, you put out like 10 different ashtrays, and everybody came in your house and lit up, man.
Oh yeah. Just crazy when you think about it. Yeah, my parents were at number 7, the blue one.
The old number 7s.
Yeah, not the red ones, the blue one. I did smoke once in my life, Spec. Grade 6, the back alley in Apache Crescent. I think I might have lifted one of my parents' packs of cigarettes and sat in the back corner. And me and some buddies smoked some cigarettes. And dude, I was green and I never smoked again. I hated it. So it was a good learning experience. So I had too many. I was like, this is the worst. I felt just awful. I wish I could have thrown up right to feel better, but it was brutal. So that was my one and only foray into smoking. You?
I never smoked cigarettes for very long. My father he smoked for like 25 years and then quit, and my dad was very athletic in his adult years. He was a handball player down at the Royal Ganora Club forever, played tennis until about 6 months before he passed. And when he quit smoking, he drove it into his kids. Don't you dare smoke. And I always respected my father, and I did try smoking, and I smoked a few cigarettes along the way, but my dad was always standing on my shoulder when I was having that smoke. And I knew if he knew I was smoking, man, he would be seriously disappointed. So there was never any risk for me that I was going to be a smoker.
Yeah, that's fair. Few things. Rookie medicals today. The vet medicals will be tomorrow, and it's not new news. Spec. We've known for a while that Evander Kane. I think you'll get an official announcement from the team, but everybody knows he hasn't skated. He's not going to skate. He's not going to be on the ice. I'd heard rumblings a bit ago, and that's why I was pushing the left defenseman PTO that Darnell Nurse might be on a very limited start to training camp. Right, we've seen him skate, but there's no contact really out there. So I think, I won't be surprised if we don't see Darnell Nurse in the first few preseason games. I'm not even sure if you're going to see him on the ice fully in training camp just yet.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's a long year. I think that's what we've learned. I watched Darnell skate here during, I guess we're calling them the captain skates, and he looked like everybody else out there. He did not look limited in any way. Obviously, if he had a serious injury, he wouldn't have been out there. So I would say to you, Jason, that I'm in no way worried about Darnell Nurse. If they've got him skating right now in captain skates and being out there with the guys, if he takes, if he plays 2 preseason games or even 1, he's a veteran player. That's enough. I'm not worried about that one bit. The Evander Kane thing, we've all known there's some level, there's clearly there seems to be, we're very likely surgery is coming. The question becomes, do you put him on LTI because he's going to miss the whole year, or is he set to return in February, in which case don't put him on LTI because you have to have that cap space ready. So the Oilers know, they're just not telling us, frankly. I've emailed Dan Milstein and texted him a couple times, and I am not getting any responses. So I think the plan is in place and the plan is made. It's just a matter of time here till we find out what it is.
You look at, we talked about Boston and, Swayman, and, you mentioned, Nurse, and it's a long season, but if the right side's already thin, right? Like, I don't know if the organization can just be like, you know what, we'll wait till the deadline. Everything's going to be good. Like, it's, there is some risk there. Like, obviously, if there's being cautious, and at this point, that's all my understanding is, and that's fine. But, if it lingers, Spec, and then you throw in the fact that, Cece's gone and Desharnais's gone and Broberg's gone, that you wonder and say, well, you know what, there could be a little transition time. Paul Coffey is definitely going to earn his stripes behind the bench this year.
Yeah, and Mark Stewart. And you know what? They've got some couple young guys to break in. I think bringing in Dermott, Dermott's a veteran guy, so that's good. But yes, it can't be understated. It takes a deep and good defense to go 4 rounds here. Now, those 4 rounds don't start for a long time. But, this is an Oilers team. It's time for this team. They're in a division and they're in a situation where they should win the Pacific and, frankly, if they should win the West here. This team needs to make its playoff road a little bit easier with a better regular season. And that takes a solid defense. Like, you can't go at it with 3 guys and 3 guys that you're hoping on here. So, yes, I'm with you, Jay. There's, the Nurse thing comes out of left field a little bit, but I want to repeat, I've seen guys that are hurt and that are injured and that are in trouble and maybe not going to play. They're not out there doing captain skates like Nurse is right now. So sure, he might miss some camp. Who cares? Having watched him skate Monday and Tuesday, I got no worries that there's a big problem, because if there was a big problem, he wouldn't be out there.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Mark Spector joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Spec, I know you're a big baseball guy. Young Bowden Francis, I don't know if you're watching again today, but took a no-hitter into the 9th again, becoming only the second Blue Jay player to have multiple no-hitters through 8 innings, and then he goes into the 9th, and for the second time with a no-hitter, he gives up a home run. Then the Blue Jays only had 1 run. They end up losing in the 9th. But man, like, this guy, I know he's not that young, but holy cow, he has been really dominant here for the last 2.5 months.
Well, I didn't see him today, but I saw him his last start, and he was unbelievable. Like, you can just tell when a pitcher has all his pitches. And, like, I don't know much about pitching. I pitched a lot, but I wasn't very good. But all I know is if you got 3 or 4 pitches and 2 of them are going, you feel great. This guy, you watch him pitch, he's throwing 3 or 4 different pitches, whatever he throws. Every one of them is painting the corner. So that makes for a dangerous guy. And more so, Jay, you can see his confidence. Like, whatever the catcher calls for, he's painting a corner with it. So, I watched the game where he gave up the first one that went to the 9th. I watched another one where he took like a one-hitter into the 7th. He's like, at first I thought, hey, he's having a good week. Well, it's been going on for a lot longer than a week now.
Oh,
This
yeah.
kid, there's something going on with this guy. I frankly have never heard of him before this season. And all of a sudden, like, you don't take big league hitters and go into the 9th inning with a no-hitter twice in whatever it's been, a month and a bit, by mistake. Like, that is, guys pitch their whole career in the big leagues and never take a no-hitter into the 9th. So
yeah,
there's something here, boy. There's something here, and maybe there's some found money in this guy for the Blue Jays.
Oh God, it would be a huge find. Like, if you can find a starting pitcher like that, are you kidding me? Now, you just don't want this to be like Manoah, right? Like, Manoah had unreal and then has struggled since, right? That's the key. Yeah, and obviously it's hard to predict that, but man, like, you just look at his size and everything else. Like, this guy's intimidating on the mound, and that would be huge for them. And we'll stick with baseball. Bichette is down in AAA, right, on rehab right now. What do you make of Bo Bichette if you were the Jays? Like, would you pay him the big money that allegedly he's asking for, or would you prefer to trade him? Do you think he's worth it?
Where are we? I think you got to take a long look in the mirror if you're Ross Atkins. Now, is he going to be the GM next year? That's a fair question. But where are we here? Are we at the point where you're signing a guy for a giant number? Or are you at the point where I could turn, maybe we're 3 years away and I could turn him into 3 different guys who 3 years from now are going to be awesome. Where are we with our curve here? The Blue Jays took a huge step back this year, Jay. They were supposed to be better than they are, and they're not that good. They haven't been in it all year. So, if you think you can add a couple guys and compete, then sign Bo Bichette, big money, keep the shortstop, let's go. If you don't think that, if you think you're 3-4 years away, and I mean, you got to be realistic. Then I move them and I get a bunch of guys that are going to be good in 3-4 years. That's how I go at it. I'm not sure where they are. What do you think?
It's a fair question. You look, my concern about Bichette is I'm not sure he's as good of a defensive shortstop that you need. Right? That's my concern. I think when he's on, he can hit.
It's got a great bat.
Yeah, like, I don't love his defense. And he's playing arguably the most important position on defense. So I probably would look at, like, if I get a better defensive shortstop who doesn't have the bat, I think the Jays have guys who can hit. So, I would probably lean away from that if I could. Now, because there's going to be a team out there that says, hey, I'll take Bichette because we need a bat because he can hit. There's no doubt about it. So it is a risk, no question. But you're right. They have to look at and kind of see where they're at. The problem is, I'm not sure I trust this management team to be the ones making that decision. Pretty big decision.
Oh, it's huge. And like I said at the start, I'm not sure Ross Atkins is going to be back next year. So that's a fair question too. Like, now we're moving up the ladder. Let's not talk about whether we're keeping the shortstop before we figure out if we're keeping the front office. Right? So yes, all of these are good questions. I'm not coming at you with good answers. I want to know, I don't want to move that guy and then move the guy that moved him. I want to, if I'm thinking I might move Bo Bichette, I want to get a GM in there that's going to be part of the rebuild, that's going to bring in, the guys he likes that he acquires. That's not a trade you want to have your GM make on his way out the door. I give you Pete Chiarelli making a bunch of bad deals before he left Edmonton. So it's sequential. And the Blue Jays have a lot of thinking to do here. What's going to happen in the front office before what's going to happen on the field?
And the other option here is, and I don't know if it's ever been talked about, but maybe you sit down with Bo and say, hey, we're going to sign you, but you're going to play second base. Right? We love your bat. Right? Yeah, and you're a good enough fielder, and you go to second base. I have no idea if that's ever been discussed or not, but other guys have done it. You can make that switch. It's not the end of the world, right? It's still an important position. Don't get me wrong, but I wonder about that. So,
well, that's I think what I like about Vladdy at first, he's the perfect guy there, right?
Dude, and he's a really good defensive first baseman.
I'm sorry?
He's a really good, he's a Gold Glover. He's a good defensive first baseman.
Right. And he hits. And the prototypical first baseman hits you some bombs, hits for power, and he's good defensively. So I don't have the same questions that you have with Bichette as a shortstop. First base is a lock, and I try to sign Vladdy, whatever, I'm signing Vladdy if I can.
Oh God, all day you're signing him. I don't why haven't you signed him yet? Like I know there'll be the negotiation, and if you're Vlad Guerrero, right? Like the way he's played here since, I don't know when it was, he got hot, middle of June. Like, you look up, he's really moved up the ranks. I did my numbers. I don't know if you saw him. I had Ohtani and Soto and Judge and Witt and looking at all their numbers, and those guys are killing it. But if you go look at Vladdy Guerrero's numbers now and where he ranks, considering how terrible his start was, he has been absolutely mashing the ball now for quite some time. And, it's good to know he's still capable of it. And, the next year, he can't have another slow start like that. Not if he's going to be getting paid that big bucks. Just can't do it.
And hitting for average, too. He's hitting like 327 or something, which is.
Oh, dude, he's killing it.
Yeah. So, yes, he's solid. And, are those guys a bit of an entry? Are those guys sort of your, the way we look at McDavid and Draisaitl, like they're part of building the team. They're part of the culture. They're the captains. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Bichette thinks about that. Are they, remember too, baseball's a different animal. Like guys, for instance, let's talk hockey. Draisaitl could have got out in free agency and got more than 14 million, but he would have got like 15 and a half, So baseball's different. You go out in free agency in baseball and you can get absolutely giant money if the Bo Sox or the Yankees decide they want you. It's the money is absolutely unbelievable. So it's a bit of a different world in MLB for sure. And I guess I'd ask you, if I was a star player right in my prime and I looked at the Toronto Blue Jays around me and I thought, how far is this team from winning a World Series? What would the answer be?
Well, it's a great question, especially in their division. It's tough. I don't think they're that far, but you could say that they're not really that close either. That's probably the challenge. And I think, a lot of it might just depend on what they do in management. I think if they keep both Atkins and Shapiro, I think the odds of those guys not sticking increase for sure. I think they're at the point now that they've had a long run here. And sadly, this was supposed to be like last year and this year, they are supposed to be improving and they've gone backwards. So, backwards where it hasn't helped them. So I could see MLSE. I think it's time to make a change. I just show me an argument as to why it'd be smart to keep them. That would be my question.
That's fair. I'm with you all the way. They've got to the playoffs, but they haven't won a game in them, and now they're getting worse. So yes, I'm with you all the way. I think it's time for a management change, and then a management change tends to come along with a bit of a roster change. And these two guys are coming up here. It's big times in Toronto right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. Spec, have a great day, buddy. We'll chat with you tomorrow. We'll talk a little rookies.
Hey, sounds good, Jay.
There you go. That's Mark Spector and the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. We've previewed a lot of the East. Now we start in the West. And hey, we might as well go to the new city, Utah. Well, they did make a minor announcement today. Kyler Yamamoto, no pun intended, small announcement, but he's on a PTO. They made some big splashes this offseason, not just with their new owner, but they're going to spend money. They got Sergachev. Can they compete in the Central for the first time since 2012? Is that the last time they were really competitive? We'll find out next. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car.
and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2024 Silverado 1500 RST. Explore downtown hotspots with standard Chevrolet safety assist, including automatic emergency braking and HD surround vision camera. Or take on the great outdoors with an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine and available in-vehicle trailering app. Oh, look, a cute chipmunk. Not so cute. Not so cute. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Rule number 41. Never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
You're listening to Jason. 5:26 as you make your way home. Be safe. Be patient. Turn the radio up. Enjoy the ride. If you're in traffic, hopefully it's not too bad. The weather's still pretty good. I don't know. Is it still raining out there? It's supposed to rain here for a little bit. A little fall rain never hurt anybody. Golf courses like it. Maybe stay open a little bit longer. Right? Your trees will like it. Your lawn. Lots of things. Lots of reasons to like it. Later on. Now let's talk a little NHL as we go in the room. Brought to you by Ewell, your electrical gear provider since 1976. And guess what? You can shop online, get all the electrical stuff you need 24/7. And they'll get it to you right away. EWEL.ca. As we go out to Utah, where the Utah Hockey Club will at some point this season announce their team name, but they will be Utah HC for this season. Matt McConnell, who will be the voice of Utah, joins us. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jason. How you doing? How's your summer been?
You know what? It was short, but it's been good. I want to ask it. Right. I've done a lot of play-by-play. Usually, you use the moniker, Oilers wheeling up the left side, whatever. So what are you is it just going to be Utah all the time? Is that the plan for the play-by-play guy?
I've thought a little bit about that. Yeah, I guess, the play is so fast, right? You got to make it pretty quick. So, maybe a little bit of both, but yeah, for sure Utah and, maybe, as as a play-by-play guy, maybe expound on it a little bit when they score. But, it's that'll be a little bit different. And at some point, I'm sure, they'll decide on which way they want to go.
Yeah, what's the plan? Is it supposed to be announced like during the season next year? Or they're going to wait till the year's over to officially announce it, or is it in January?
You know what? They haven't said much on that. My gut tells me at some point I would imagine that there will be some some guidance on that. I just don't know if it's going to be middle of the season, end of the season. Really hard to tell at this point, but I know it's, I can tell you right now, you walk around town. I did a corporate event with Chris Armstrong on Monday, and, everybody wants to know, right? It's kind of it really is the hot topic of conversation. And I'll tell you what, people here in Salt Lake and around the state of Utah, they're ready. I was having a cold one the other night at a local establishment in my neighborhood here, and there were a couple of guys sitting at the bar watching I guess it was the Thursday night game last week, and they're wearing Utah HC T-shirts. So it's just great to see. I think everybody's ready to go. And even if you go back to April, I came up and MC that Meet the Team event, and they literally, and I'm not kidding you here, they had to padlock the doors 45 minutes before the event even started because they ran out of seats at Delta Center. So I really do think that fans are ready and they are excited. And first home preseason games a week from Monday night.
And so, you know what? You've got hockey fans, but there's going to be some that are just fans because it's a new team and they want to support it. So as the voice of the team, how much play-by-play mixed in with educating are you doing your first year?
Well, that's a really good question, and we've talked a lot about that. We're going to try to, I think, on the television side, we're going to try to get innovative and maybe, go different ways of whether or not, like if a person is new to the game and they want to learn, they will have options. Whether it's a QR code or something like that, to go ahead and do that with it, and then that way we don't alienate the fans that have been watching for a long time. And the one thing about Salt Lake is they've had hockey here for a very, very long time. They've got an ECHL team here right now. They had teams back in the Central League and the IHL. In fact, Theo Fleury made his debut inside the Salt Palace in 1988. So they've got a really good history of that. Certainly not the NHL. It's been pretty good in that regard, but obviously the highest league in the world is a little bit different. And, the whole idea is to bring as many new fans in as you can.
Yeah, 100%. So you look at the team and, it's not an expansion team. It's a relocation team. So you've got, you don't have some, not necessarily cast-offs, but you know what I mean by other players. You've got young, like Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz. They got some good young players, Misselli, really good young player. Then you throw on the back end. They went out and they traded for Mikhail Sergachev. They signed Dursey and Marino and Valimaki and obviously in goal and Ingram and Vejmelka. Like they've got some pieces. It's been a long time since this group has been competitive, but they've also been playing for an owner who never really wanted to spend any money. That they've been playing in an NCAA arena here for the last few years. When you talk to the players and just maybe the fact that there's a new lease on life and maybe more of a professional attitude top to bottom within the organization and how beneficial that could possibly be for them on the ice.
No doubt. And you know what? They are excited. I first saw it in April when I did the Meet the Team event, and just how excited they were up on stage. It was funny because we introduced the players. And we had, they kind of, they said a little bit of they said something each of them, but they kind of passed the mic down, right? So the first one to go was Nick Schmaltz. And I think, Nick got up out of his seat and he went towards the center of the front of the stage, I should say, and really tried to engage with the fans. And then he handed it off to Clayton Keller, who, at times is quiet. And, he gets to the front of the stage and says, "What's up, Utah?" And then they, the whole Liam O'Brien spicy tuna thing and the whole arena at Delta Center chanting that. It was, they really showed the person, their personality and their fun side. And I think the people really enjoyed that. But yeah, it's an interesting group. They brought in some guys with Stanley Cup pedigrees. The deal for Sergachev, I mean, you think about it, they had to give up a really good young player in Connor Geekie, but I think they felt that, through their pool of young guys, that there was some expendability there, and they went ahead and made the move. Bill Armstrong, when he addressed the media today at about 2:00, ahead of the rookie, the first rookie practice, he kind of tapped the brakes on expectations. in terms of, is this a playoff team? And I do think they're going to have a home ice advantage if they can put the pieces together, especially on the back end, because there's so many new faces on that back end, good faces. But again, they're going to have to mesh, and we all know about the good talent they've got up front. So if it's not this year, it's certainly coming, and I think that's kind of what everybody around the organization feels.
The young guy like Akurati, does he have a chance? Do you think he's going to make that team this year?
Well, he got an opportunity at the end of last year, and he actually played in the final game at Mullet against the Oilers. So I don't know if Ratu's going to be in there or not. It's hard to say. They've got some really good young players. They've got a defenseman, Artem Duda, who was a high round pick, and he ran into some NCAA issues, and he ended up playing college hockey in Canada last year. So, he's a guy that I would imagine is ticketed for Tucson, but is certainly in the future. Maverick Lamoureux, I think, is probably the biggest name in terms of prospects on the back end. How is he going to be after shoulder surgery on each shoulder over the last couple of years? So they're really high on him, and they've got a good group. And you mentioned it's not like an expansion team where it's guys off the scrap heap. You know what it's like? More like, Jason. It's kind of like buying a car from a dealership that only has about 3,000 miles on it, but you get a good deal, right? and certainly they've got that, because now they've got the veterans to lead, but they've got that core group, especially up front, the 25, 26-year-olds, I think, that are ready to take that next step.
We are talking Utah Hockey Club with the play-by-play voice, Matt McConnell. You mentioned, home advantage. We've seen, when Vegas come in instantly, they had success, but, it was a madhouse there. And a lot of it came to, the fans were passionate. They won, but they also did things in the building, Matt, to make it more exciting all of the time. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Utah. Like, what are we expecting as far as like in-game entertainment and atmosphere from them, and how important is the Smith family putting an emphasis on that?
Well, I think what they want to do is they want to create a world-class experience inside Delta Center, and I think they've done that with the Utah Jazz. Don't forget that the Jazz had a real rough year last year, and they I believe their sellout streak is at like 260 or 265 or something like that. The Utahns, they come out, they turn out, as Ryan Smith said, and we expect pretty much the same thing on hockey. But I would imagine. It will probably be some traditional stuff. It'll be some fun stuff. I'm not in on those meetings, but I guarantee that it's going to make an impact on fans, because that's what they do. They've got some really talented people in that organization, not only on the NBA side, but now all the talent they're bringing in on the hockey side. So, and Ryan and Ashley Smith, they want to do it up. They're not going to skimp, and it should be a lot of fun, whatever they end up doing at Delta Center.
Who do you think is going to be their big rival?
Well, it's funny. There was the local guys here. I was doing a radio hit last week, and I think they said Colorado, and I think Colorado makes sense. I said, well, what about Vegas? Because Vegas is 6 hours down the road, right down I-15. But coming, after I thought about it for a while, I think it'll probably be Colorado, simply because they're division rivals, right? They're both in the Central Division, whereas Vegas, you won't see them quite as much. But I think I think rivalries, and you know this, Jason, they're born, they're created in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
right,
100%.
Right, and you think of all the great down through the years, the Battle of Alberta, and that one of the greatest, if not the best, rivalry in all of hockey. So I wouldn't shade Vegas, but I think it's probably going to be Colorado if I had to be a betting man on that.
Well, that's not a bad one. That Nathan McKinnon guy and Ranton and McCarr what could add to it.
They're not too bad, right?
Yeah, they're fairly exciting and slash, because part of the rivalry is you respect, but you hate some of the other team's best players, right? Or you fear them a little bit as a fan. So it should be fun. Anything? What's planned for the home opener for Utah, and how big of a deal is it? I'm assuming obviously it's a sellout. I know they have sold out for season tickets. That's not an issue at all. But when you just look at kind of the hype building up to it, preseason's one thing, and I'm sure they'll probably have a really good crowd for a preseason game. But they're going to save some stuff for that home opener.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what they've got planned. I got here about a week and a half ago, and I've been getting my apartment set up, and I went down to the rookie practice today. But again, I think it's going to be something special, and I agree with you. I think they'll have huge crowds for the preseason games. I want to say that they had 34 to 36,000 season ticket deposits put down for tickets for this year. And the other thing that I do know is the vast majority of people, and Salt Lake isn't New York in terms of, size and everything, but the vast majority of the people that put down deposits for Utah HC were non-Utah Jazz season ticket holders. So I found that very, very interesting. They do come out here, and I got to tell you, and this is not meant to be pandering, and no reason for me to do it because I'm talking to an audience in Edmonton. But the people here are unbelievably kind, just genuine people, and I think that's going to be a big change for the players too when they go to the grocery stores or they take their kids to hockey practice or whatever. The people here are going to want to engage, and I think we would be in agreement that the hockey players are the best of all athletes to do that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, what's interesting about Utah is they only have one home preseason game against the Kings. And I think that's where they got a few neutral site games. And then, of course,
they've actually got one. They're going to play Colorado at Maverick Center, which is where the ECHL team plays.
Okay.
So technically one, but really two in the metro. Yeah.
Okay. Because, they have it. I was looking on their website, and they've got the two neutral sites, but it didn't say where the second one was listed. And then they have Connor Bedard and Chicago for their season home opener on the 8th of October, which, good for them. Like, their schedule, you got Chicago, your first home game, and then you got the Boston Bruins for your second home game. So two original 6 teams. So a schedule maker, hey, they know their hockey, and to say, hey, let's bring in some big names. Obviously Bedard, and then you throw in the Boston Bruins. They're a pretty known team right off the hop.
Not too shabby. Good way to start the franchise.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you again, Matt. We really appreciate it. Enjoy Utah. Best of luck.
All right, Jason. Thanks. Anytime.
There you go. That is Matt McConnell, the new voice of You're listening to Jason Hockey Club. And I was looking online. It sounds like they're going to do the naming thing all season long. I don't know when they'll officially announce it. I would guess, would you do it in February and then not unveil it? But I'm guessing, hey, just from a marketing standpoint, if the team's playing well, you're in the playoff hunt. Oh, all of a sudden you announce what our team name's going to be next year. Oh, by the way, you can buy these new jerseys right now with the new name and the new logo on it. Cha-ching. Trust me, from a marketing and a merchandising standpoint, doing what they're doing, going 1 year cons with the jersey and just got the name across the front of it. And then next year is going to be another jersey. There's people that love it. Look at the con man. I'm talking to a guy who has 20 jerseys. Trust me, you would buy both.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if I'm forking out the money to go to season tickets, go to every game, do all the money I'm going to be spending there, getting home, maybe I mix it in some food and drinks, I think I'm not going to buy a jersey that they're going to wear 1 year. That's a collector's item in my eyes. So absolutely, I'd be buying potentially both. And then whatever the name is, when we debate over whether it's good or not, I'd be buying that one too. So for sure, it's genius marketing. It's a great for them to make a little more extra money, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be. I love the color scheme already. Team name, we'll wait and see what the logo looks like, but color scheme I think is clean.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440. Busy day in sports, lots happening. We'll recap some of the big stories of the day next. Also, Chris Knobloch, if you missed it, play some of that on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We're getting your tickets for Lotto 649 tonight. 16 mil up for grabs.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting!
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting!
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values, facing an electrical menace, call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Ain't it beautiful?
What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
Keep your dill pickles, your sweet pickles, garlic pickles, kosher pickles. Give me a feisty pickle.
Alberta Lung presents the second annual Feisty Pickles Charity Pickleball Tournament, September 20th to 22nd at YEG Pickleball on 156th Street. It's a fun round-robin format with medals, swag bags, food trucks, a silent auction, and more, all in support of Breathing Space, a home away from home for lung transplant patients and families. The Feisty Pickles Charity Tournament, it kicks off September 20th with a fun celebrity event. Register now at ablung.ca.
We get set to wrap up a busy Wednesday afternoon. I will say the next few weeks we're going to have some, and man, I've been working on this for a while, but if I land who I really want to get for Who Is It Wednesday, I think I can say with pretty good confidence, it might be one of the most popular ones we've ever had. So just timelines and schedules can make it challenging, but if we're able to get it, woo, baby! If you're a historian and well, who doesn't like a good storyteller, right? I don't know, maybe somebody's too impatient, they don't like it, but man, like I love sitting around. Like you be in a party sometimes, you meet some people, whatever, and there's somebody just like they're a good storyteller. Good storytellers, man, they are they're awesome. They make the evening much more enjoyable, and this would be that if we're able to land it. So hopefully that happens here in the coming weeks. Got a few other ones that are going to be great. So very much looking forward to it. We get a lot of positive feedback. I've actually had a few people reaching out to me to say, "Hey, man, if you ever need a guest," which is outstanding. Come on, Greg, Struddy isn't that busy. Hey, you know what? Hey, maybe one day we will have to get Struds on. I got a few stories we haven't told about him. We've told a lot about him, but there's a few that we haven't. But he is, it's kind of a big deal now, so might be too hard to get him. We'll see. Hey guys, if the Oilers don't put Kane on LTIR to start the season, and then they accumulate money all year long, and let's say it's $3 million, and then they put him on LTIR in late February, do they keep the $3 million plus Kane's LTIR, or does it get taken away? Well, I went from not Fred. So Fred, how LTI works is, so in order to get the maximum benefit of long-term IR, so the salary cap this year is $88 million. If you get to $87.9 million, then you put a guy like Kane on LTIR, and he's what, $5.1 million? Then you would actually get $5 million of cap space, because first of all, how it works for LTIR is, so if you put a guy in LTIR when you're $4 million shy of the cap, and he's a $5 million cap hit, you only get $1 million in extra cap space. So I think we have to have a real clear, precise understanding of, just because you put a player on LTIR doesn't mean you get all of his contract. That's why teams will want to use the salary cap and crunch all their numbers when they go into LTIR, so they're maximizing it, so then you can use as much of that existing contract as you can. So Kane, if you've accumulated cap space, and that's great, and it's $3 million, but then you put Kane on LTIR, all that happens is the $3 million goes away, right? Because that's the first $3 million of his $5 million, and then what's left over would be $2 million, and then that's what the cap space you would have. Does that make sense? I think I explained it clear enough, but that's usually how it went. So, for the Oilers, accumulating cap space is awesome. But it's difficult to do it all year long, simply because if you ever get in a stretch where you have a few injuries, well, then you're screwed. Right? Well, you're screwed for that short period of time. So let's say if you have to put a guy in LTIR, you could put a guy in LTIR for maybe a month. So then you don't accrue cap space for it, but then you can take him off afterwards. Somebody who's not that injured. You could do it. Now, the other way, though, to maximize that $3 million of Kane would be if you're like, okay, you know what? We're going to have to put Kane on LTIR now for whatever reason. What you would try to do then is acquire a contract that would get you right to the cap, then put Kane on LTIR, so then you would get as much possible LTIR relief. So that's how it works. So you know what, because if the cap is 88 mil and you have a $4 million player and you're at 84 million, you put him on LTIR, you're just eating up your cap space. You're not getting any benefit, right? It's only goes whatever LTIR allows you to exceed to a maximum of what their contract is, right? That's basically what it's allowing you to do. But if you have lots of cap space beforehand, doesn't really help you. So hopefully that makes sense. Hey guys, there's no better storyteller than Stuart McLean. Stuart McLean had one of the greatest books I've ever read. He's a funny dude. I would agree with you. Quite funny guy. So the Vinyl Cafe, love it. I don't know, Cons, if you've ever read the Vinyl Cafe. Now he has many versions of it, but the Vinyl Cafe is a great book that I would recommend. If you ever want to read a good Stuart McLean book, that would be it.
Which one?
Well, I like the one with the black cover. So
okay.
I don't know. I'd have to because that's the one I have. So I'd have to look. Now maybe he's changed the covers over time, but I think it was like the original, because he's had like the Vinyl Cafe, and then it's there's Vinyl Cafe Unplugged, right?
Revenge of the Vinyl Cafe.
Yeah. So no, that wasn't it. It was like one of the original ones. So it was it's great, man. He's a pretty funny dude. So that book, like very short, easy read, really quick little snippets. I like it. So hey guys, is it I've always wondered, Utahians from Klaus? I have no idea. Maybe. It would make sense, right? Or would it be Utes? Utahites? I don't know.
Utahns.
Utahns?
Yeah.
And is you. So UTAHNS. UTAHNS.
Yeah. I like Utes, like the football team, but
yeah. or Utes from My Cousin Vinny. Classic. I don't know. Was that the name of the movie with Pesci? My Cousin Vinny? I think it's My Cousin Vinny. I'm not asking you, because you probably haven't even heard of it now. What's My Cousin?
I have heard of that. Yeah. I don't know the reference.
Yeah,
but,
it's in court where he's trying to say, he's got an accent. Instead of saying youth, he always says youths. So pretty funny.
I did record a Bronx Tale last night.
Oh, De Niro.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'm going to watch that one at some point.
Okay. That's a great movie. Hey, I want to ask you, we don't have time, but tomorrow I do want to talk about the Justin Herbert sideline with Harbaugh. Oh my God. If you haven't seen that, that's one of the funnier interactions. God, hilarious. So we'll talk about that on the show. Unbelievable. Where the players kind of like, what the hell's going on here? Is this guy a lunatic? Just kept patting him and patting him and patting. It's so funny. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. If you missed any parts of the show, go to jasongregor.com. The individual interviews are there. Or anywhere where you get your podcast, you can download. Or you can watch the whole show again on YouTube. It's fantastic. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Have an awesome Wednesday evening. Let's get to the Con Man Final Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change, no overtime charges, furnace repair and maintenance. Do it now at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers making some moves in the hockey operations department, hiring Tobias Salmelainen as a player acquisition and development across in Europe, and Andreas Karlsson and Vincent Maltz as player development coaches. The Toronto Maple Leafs signing Max Spector to a PTO today. Also, Yanni Hakanpää to a one-year contract with $1.47 million. Some other PTOs today. Utah agreeing to terms with Kyler Yamamoto, and the Colorado Avalanche inviting Pierre-Edouard Bellemare to their camp with the PTO. From the NFL, Miami Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert will not play in Thursday night's game against the Buffalo Bills. Devon Achane currently listed as a game-time decision with an ankle injury. Major League Baseball today, Toronto Blue Jays becoming very close to a no-hitter. Bowden Francis, of course, was on the mound through 8. He gave up a one-shot home run to Francisco Lindor to tie the game at 1 apiece. Was taken out, then the wheels fell off. Mets winning 6-2. Elsewhere, the Rangers losing to the Diamondbacks 14-4. Guardians over the White Sox 6-4, and the Marlins falling to the Pirates in Pittsburgh 3-1. Couple games underway right now. The Tigers on top of the Rockies 7-4 in the 5th. Midway through the 4th, Phillies lead the Rays 2-1, and the Nationals up on the Braves 3-0. New York and Kansas City scoreless into 3rd, as are the Reds and Cards in the 1st. Later tonight, Astros take on the Athletics, Padres in Seattle. Giants host the Brewers, and the Cubs taking on the Dodgers. 3 games in the WNBA. The Aces right now lead the Fever 41-32. Asia Wilson leading the way with 12 points and 8 boards there. Later tonight, the Sky hosts the Mystics, and the Storm taking on the Sparks of Los Angeles. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, Fox Sports Radio. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 Up.